It was a summoned beast despised by the entire world. Yet, the very second I brought him out, I hugged him tight, absolutely thrilled. Seeing this, my classmates started mocking me, sarcastically calling me a genius. Even my homeroom teacher, who used to have such high hopes for me, screamed that I was disgracing his teachings. In response, I just smiled and kept quiet. Instead, I sold everything I owned to buy 50 kilograms of lean monster meat. I needed it to unlock this little pup's hidden talent. As I gently patted his head, a contract notification chimed in my head. Loyalty level absolute, will never betray. Establish soul link? I chose yes without a second thought. Instantly, an agonizing, soul-tearing pain hit me, and I collapsed to the ground, screaming. My classmates figured I just couldn't handle the shock and started laughing at me. Then, my girlfriend, Lu Ruoyan, the most beautiful girl in school, walked over. With a somewhat apologetic look, she said, "I'm sorry. The Gaokao is the only chance for families from humble backgrounds like ours to climb the social ladder. Just now, Lu Liang, the Spear Knight, agreed to team up with me, so I can't party with you anymore." I stood back up and replied casually, "No problem." Hearing my calm and detached response, she stood there dumbfounded, the excuses she had prepared getting completely stuck in her throat. Feeling insulted that I didn't even seem to care, she scoffed coldly. She whipped around and walked away without another word. "He's definitely just pretending not to care. Ruoyan, you did nothing wrong. Why are you even apologizing to him? He can only summon a tiny black dog the size of a palm. How could a loser like him ever be worthy of you?" But at that moment, I didn't care about their trash talk at all, because once our soul link was established, I discovered that my little pup had awakened a triple S rank talent, the Apostle of Gluttony. He can convert any food he eats into raw energy, bypassing all limits to reach the absolute peak of purification. Looks like that pain was worth it. In the entire Great Chia Empire, people who have awakened a triple S rank talent can be counted on one hand. Whenever a new one emerges, the entire nation treats them with utmost importance and keeps them heavily protected. The reason is simple, they are just way too powerful. I scooped up the little black pup and held him up to my face. "From now on, your name is Yeming. You're going to work hard for me." Yeming licked his chops, looking absolutely thrilled. I tossed him a steak, and in the blink of an eye, he devoured it, leaving absolutely nothing behind. Ordinary meat consumed. Purification value plus 0.5. As the notification rang out, Yeming grew ever so slightly, and all of his base stats increased by 1 point. And that was just from eating a single ordinary steak. If he keeps devouring more food, just how terrifyingly powerful will he become? My heart raced at the thought, but what shocked me even more was that my own strength seemed to have increased a bit too. It looks like my contract can also feed a portion of my summon's energy back to me. So, my first move was to spend over 6,000 credits to buy 50 kilograms of lean mutant meat. With a single thought, I summoned Yeming. The moment he saw the bright red mutant meat in front of him, an intense, primal hunger welled up from deep inside him. He immediately clamped his jaws shut on it, tearing the meat to shreds. His body frantically processed every single bite of mutant meat he swallowed. As he gorged himself non-stop, boundless energy surged through Yeming's body. He was growing at a breakneck speed, visible to the naked eye. At the same time, I could feel my own body growing significantly stronger from head to toe. Half an hour later, Yeming had shot up to over 2 meters tall. Meanwhile, all of my personal stats had increased by 10 points. Even compared to the top students in other classes, his growth is insane. The way Yeming gets stronger is basically a cheat code. This is going to let me catch up to everyone else in no time. With that in mind, I didn't hesitate and tapped the system's evolution option. The instant I confirmed, the terrifying wellspring of talent deep within Yeming began to vibrate. Suddenly, a strange, dark, purifying energy exploded outward. His cells divided rapidly, and his genes began to restructure themselves. His very state of being was ascending to a whole new level. Congratulations. Your summoned beast, Yeming, has obtained the skill. Rend, congratulations. Your summoned beast, Yeming, has awakened a new talent. Gigantism. Increases physical size by 3 times. Strength and defense are boosted by 300%, while speed is reduced by 50%. Thanks to this evolution, all of Yeming's stats have shot past 50 points, and he's only at level 1. Even high-level summoned beasts can't compete with that. Summoned beasts are categorized into 4 tiers: basic, intermediate, high, and peak. The main metric is their talent. As for the absolute highest tier, which requires a double S rank talent, one has never even appeared before. After wrapping things up, I took Yeming home so we could get some rest. I was ready to see what kind of heavy hitters would show up at the Gaokao tomorrow. The next day, a massive crowd of students gathered at the exam plaza. Lu Wen was busy explaining the safety guidelines for entering the dungeon. This year, the Gaokao brought together students from several top-tier high schools. The competition was absolutely fierce. Even Lu Yang, who had been incredibly confident earlier, was now sweating buckets. "Shen Lin, are you seriously going in? You should just drop out right now to save yourself the embarrassment. After all, if you never fight, You can always lie to yourself and pretend you've never lost. The guy talking was Ye Chao. Standing next to him was Lu Ruoyan, wearing a mage robe that perfectly accentuated her graceful figure. It was obvious they were on the same team. I completely ignored them. Just then, a bell rang out and 4 massive bronze doors swung open simultaneously. A freezing cold aura blasted out from the opening. Without wasting a second, the students quickly checked the details of the dungeon they were about to enter. We're doomed. Our high school number 2 got the Forest of Bones. That's one of the dungeons with the highest failure rates. Oh, please. All the dungeons are pretty much the same level of difficulty. Stop whining. Your high school number 3 got an easy one, so of course, you aren't complaining. Seeing the tension, Lu Wen warned the students behind him that the terrain of the Forest of Bones was extremely treacherous. The trees and undergrowth are incredibly thick. Watch your step, and do not let any monsters catch you off guard. Stay alert at all times and pay close attention to your surroundings. Lu Wen then pulled out a device that looked like a watch. It was a recorder crafted by a mechanic. It can transmit the scores you get in the dungeon. Right after, another bell rings, signaling the official start of the Gaokao. A girl with long, flowing blue hair, wearing pristine white armor and possessing a delicate, beautiful face, is the first to step into the dungeon. And she's the one our senior from high school number 3 is following. She chose to enter completely solo. After all, the more people in a party, the fewer points you get. Those with real talent obviously choose to go solo. Out on the plaza, countless candidates are buzzing with excitement, whispering among themselves. With a single thought, I link to the dungeon. Instantly, a blinding white light wraps around me. I've also chosen to run this dungeon solo. Once everyone is inside, a middle-aged, level 20 pro raises his hand. With a quick gesture, he summons a water screen that begins broadcasting live feeds from inside the dungeon. Right at that moment, a flash of white light erupts. A student from high school number 2 has already tapped out of the dungeon. The teachers from high school number 2 look at each other before hanging their heads in silent shame. Feeling countless questioning stares shift toward him, Lemingzi's face darkens. He glares at the water screen in silence as the projection slowly shifts. Suddenly, a lone boy appears in the middle of a dense forest. As he scans his surroundings, Lemingzi's face twists with utter surprise. Did a student that talented actually take part in our school's class awakening ceremony yesterday? Hearing this, Lewin is at a loss for words. He knows all too well that I'm just a lowly summoner. Meanwhile, back in the dungeon, my head spins for a moment before I shake it off and start scanning the area. Suddenly, I hear a rustling sound from above. Without a second's hesitation, a staff over 1 meter long materializes out of thin air in my left hand. A massive, dark green worm, as thick as a bucket, lunges down at me with its maw wide open, exposing rows of horrific, jagged teeth. I grip my staff tightly. A brilliant beam of white light erupts from the tip, instantly skewering the worm's body. Sliced clean in two, the creature drops to the ground like a puppet with its strings cut. It crashes to the ground. You have defeated the venom-toothed worm. You gain 5 experience points. At that exact moment, the device on my wrist flashes a notification, plus 15 points. Back outside, the spectators are completely dumbfounded. Wait, isn't he supposed to be a summoner? Reflexes and speed like that are only possible with insane agility stats. Lewin is standing there, completely jaw-dropped. Sure, I did great in practical combat classes, but nothing compared to this level of insanity. Leaving the dead worm behind, I ventured deeper into the forest. Just then, a bizarre, screeching cry echoes through the trees. Small, hideous creatures with slimy green skin emerge. I recognize them instantly: goblins. According to Hepburn, these things are incredibly vicious. They breed like crazy, and if food runs scarce, they won't hesitate to devour their own kind. I estimate there are around 50 or 60 of them. If they swarm me all at once, I won't stand a chance. I immediately summon Yeming with my thoughts. A flash of white light erupts instantly, followed by a long, deafening wolf howl that echoes through the entire forest. Yeming's freezing gaze locks onto the charging horde of bared-fanged goblins. He launches forward like a cannonball, completely shattering the skull of the first goblin on impact. The corpse is sent flying back with immense force, while the surrounding goblins shriek in fury. They raise their weapons, striking down with all their might. A sharp bone spear slams into Yeming's back, snapping with a loud crack. Unfazed, Yeming swings his massive paw down on a goblin's head, crushing it instantly. Yeming completely discards defense, tearing through them in a wild, chaotic frenzy, dominating the battlefield as if he owned it. Even these simple-minded goblins feel a deep, primal terror. They halt their attack and scatter in panic. Oh no, you don't. Now that you've shown up, there's no way I'm letting you escape. I direct Yeming to hunt them down while I personally take care of the nearest goblin. Watching this brutal, relentless display, the audience outside erupts in excitement. Holy crap! Since when did we have a summoner this overpowered in our school? Fine, his summon is a beast, but how is he this strong himself? He has to be using some kind of cheat. In the stands of high school number 2, just 10 minutes ago, all the underclassmen were buzzing with excitement, When they saw me run into a pack of goblins, everyone was absolutely convinced I was about to get wiped out. Yet, I wiped out the entire pack of goblins, leaving absolutely none alive. Seeing this, Limingzi's face darkens even further. To reach this level so quickly, he must possess some kind of hidden, evolving talent on top of everything else. His growth potential is practically on par with a top-tier summon. Is High School number 2 finally going to produce a genius who can bring us some glory? He quickly turns to the assistant behind him, asking, "What is Chen's score right now?" According to the tracker, his current score is 560 points. He's ranked first in our school. But the senior from High School number 3 is on a completely different, terrifying level. With a whopping score of 830, she's leading by a landslide. Hearing this, Limingzi and the other teachers gasp in disbelief. They've barely been in the dungeon for 20 minutes. With a score like that, she could easily aim for the number 1 spot in the entire province. Back in the dungeon, glowing orbs of light float up from the goblin corpses and merge into my body. Soon enough, I level up to level 2. My spirit stat only gets a measly 5-point bump. That's the drawback of having an ordinary class. Even if I keep leveling up, the stat gap will only widen, eventually turning into an unbridgeable chasm. But that's fine, I can rely on Hemming's Devour ability to make up for the difference. Besides, my score has already passed the passing threshold. Getting into the academy is practically in the bag, but my ambitions go far beyond just passing. Nearby, Hemming is busy tearing through the goblin corpses with his sickening crunch. Come on, Hemming, let's move. The hunt is just getting started. Goblins are pack monsters. Since we ran into a scout group, there's bound to be a nest nearby. 10 minutes pass without encountering a single monster, which only confirms my theory. They call this a dungeon, but it feels more like an entire living, breathing world. Nothing just respawns out of thin air here. Everything operates under the laws of nature. Suddenly, several bone spears rain down from above. Goblins burst out from the shadows on all sides, screeching battle cries as they charge with weapons raised. But I don't show even a flicker of fear. My staff transformed into a sword. In an instant, I decapitated a goblin. I was practically in full-on Muso mode. All my focus was locked on tearing through those fragile goblins. With every dodge, my blade claimed their lives with surgical precision. In that moment, I was like a blood-red butterfly drifting in the wind, with wings like scythes of death. The fight was so elegant, it was almost an art form, leaving everyone watching absolutely speechless. At High School number 2, both teachers and students were shocked and thrilled. What mastery of combat! He must have trained incredibly hard. And his swordsmanship is even more terrifying. Every strike slices the throat with absolute precision, just a single millimeter off, and it wouldn't be a fatal blow. Now, they weren't looking at anyone else. Every eye was locked onto me, unable to look away for even a second. One of them smirked. In 3 years of high school, I have never ever seen him even touch a sword during training classes. That kid, he really kept his cards close to his chest. Oh no! Level 6 Berserker Goblins. There are 13 of them. Shen Jia is in deep trouble. Wait, there are fire goblins and ice goblins too. Scouting out the goblin nest all alone was way too risky. The appearance of these monsters put all the teachers on edge. As if they had found a leader, the goblins stopped their chaotic attacks. Wreathed in flames, they launched a ferocious charge. Fist-sized fireballs formed and shot right at me. I dodged them one by one with quick movements, but the other goblins took the opportunity to strike. I tilted my head slightly to dodge a spear, then reached out. Instantly grabbing a goblin by the neck, I hurled him into the air. The incoming fireballs exploded in a blinding burst of flames, engulfing the goblin's body. I just kept using the others as projectiles. I launched the goblins one by one like cannonballs right at the fire goblins. My god. Is it even possible to fight like that? Outside, all the students watching the screen were utterly flabbergasted. Even their homeroom teacher, Luin, couldn't believe his eyes. I don't remember ever teaching him to fight like that. Meanwhile, I had completely overwhelmed the fire goblins by relentlessly pummeling them. If they cast a spell, they would just hit their own kind. If they didn't cast, I would just slaughter them myself. Taking advantage of the chaos, Hemming tore his way to the backlines to finish them off one by one. Out of nearly 100 goblins, only a handful remained. Their only choice left was to run, but this time, I didn't wipe them all out. I casually tailed them, ready to root out and destroy their hideout. I chased the last fleeing goblins right into a cave. Suddenly, several small greenish silhouettes leaped down from the rocky walls. I tightened my grip on my sword and slashed downward. The goblin's head and body fell to the ground separately. As for the other two, they were snatched up by Hemming, who had night vision, and swallowed with a sickening crunch. Suddenly, countless torchlights flickered around the bend of the corridor. My face tensed. I immediately backed away in a hurry. A swarm of hideous figures was crawling all over the walls. With a grim expression, I shouted to Hemming. Hemming's body began to swell at a terrifying speed, talent activated. He suddenly charged forward, sweeping the goblins into the air. Goblins nearby were flung in every direction. Heming crushed them beneath his massive paws, their bodies bursting under the sheer pressure. They were reduced to a bloody pulp. Right then, a deafening, ferocious roar echoed out. Its neck was covered in thick fur. Its muscles were bulging, its frame as massive as a small building. A colossal, savage monster slowly stepped out of the shadows, glaring intensely at Heming. My face darkened. It was a troll. The beast charged with all its might, making the entire cavern rumble. Every single step shook the ground. Completely fearless, Heming charged straight at it. Heming's razor-sharp claws, shrouded in a dark glow, were the first to strike the troll's body, leaving 104 shallow gashes. But the pain only fueled the troll's rage. Its two massive hands, each a meter wide, grabbed Heming, and the troll delivered a brutal headbutt. Pinned down by all four limbs, Heming was slammed to the ground, blood dripping from his maw. Seeing Heming struggle, I instantly activated my class skill, Reinforcement, granting a 20% overall boost to his base stats. Thin threads of white light began to glow across Heming's body. Suddenly, Heming flipped the troll over and tore a chunk of flesh right out of him. With bloodshot eyes, the troll activated its bloodlust skill. They both clashed, their fight growing wilder by the second. Meanwhile, I kept the buff active while casting a recovery spell. The chaos echoed for hundreds of meters around. The students who heard the noise were absolutely stunned. The bosses in the Buried Bones Forest are at least level 12. What kind of psychopath is fighting that? Just then, a party of 3, drawn by the racket, arrived. They figured they could lend a hand and snag some of the loot while they were at it. But when they got there, their jaws dropped. It wasn't some high-level party taking down the boss, it was just me, all by myself. Right at that moment, I delivered the finishing blow with my sword. The health bar above the troll's head dropped from 1 to 0. Through all of this, none of the surrounding students dared to step in. Liu Meng and Liu Ruyang were among them. Both of them stared, utterly dumbfounded. How on earth did that little wolf cub become this powerful in a single day? Right then, another group of 4 approached. It was Zhao Huayan from the elite class. He smirked and spoke up. Well, I didn't expect our school to have a freak like you. Your summon looks pretty badly hurt, though. You need some help healing it. We've got a holy priest in our party with some serious healing power. The moment the words left his mouth, the pretty girl standing behind him kicked him. I just smiled at them and said, "No thanks, I'm good." Hearing that, they got ready to head out. But as they turned to leave, they caught a glimpse of the score displayed on my hand, 5,320. Zhao Huayan almost let out a curse. Right then, Liu Ruyang walked over, her face completely flushed. The second she stepped in front of me, Heming's blood-red eyes locked onto her coldly. Liu Ruyang instantly felt a chill run straight down her spine. Her legs gave out on her, her mind plunged into total chaos. I didn't turn back to look at her, not even once, fearing I'd fall for her tenderness all over again. After that, I went back into the cave. I let Heming keep strengthening himself. Once he had devoured all the monsters, a cocoon of energy enveloped him. It seems this evolution far surpasses the previous one. I just wonder how insane his combat power will be when he emerges. Shortly after, a pair of razor-sharp claws ripped through the cocoon of light. Heming stepped out, his size having grown even further. His fur had turned a deep blue, looking both noble and icy cold. He also gained new skills, intimidation and fire, and even his talent leveled up. It was a complete metamorphosis. There was only 1 hour left before the end of the exam. Riding on Heming, I started searching for other monster lairs. About 10 minutes passed. Heming and I arrived at the territory of another boss, the Shadow Emperor, the level 15 Twisted Tree King. Seeing me head toward him, outside, Limingzi couldn't help but frown. He knew that the Twisted Tree King, whether in terms of HP or attack power, was far stronger than the troll. And me, I was only level 4. Pulling off such a feat with such a massive level gap was extremely rare in the entire country. Inside the dungeon, the moment I stepped onto the muddy ground, trees with blood-red eyes woke up one after another. Their massive trunks split open, revealing wide gashes. I saw them uproot themselves, and dozens of branches shot forward to impale me. But I didn't feel any fear. I lunged forward. I instantly drew the blade of my staff. In the blink of an eye, I delivered 5 slashes. My speed was so fast that it left after images. The branches were sliced clean off and fell to the ground. My gaze hardened. In a few strides, I dashed toward the Trent. My blade struck straight at the crack in its leg, opening a gaping wound. A massive amount of sap gushed out like a fountain. The Trent's HP bar emptied instantly. It collapsed. Seeing their kin die such a gruesome death, all the surrounding Trants rushed at us menacingly. That was when Heming let out a furious roar and shredded the Trant in front of him with a single strike. Then, black flames erupted from his body, completely covering him. They set the Trants ablaze, spreading relentlessly to the others. The Trants shrieked in pain, writhing in agony, but no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't put out those black flames. These black flames fed on their life force to burn. Seeing this, Even I was a bit surprised. I didn't expect Hemming's flames to be this terrifying. Before long, the treants were reduced to ashes in that sea of fire. The black flames then returned to Hemming's body. These flames allowed Yeming to skip the flesh-consuming step. He can absorb energy directly. In just a short moment, both Yeming and I leveled up at the same time. My score skyrocketed to 7,120 points. Right at that moment, the ground suddenly exploded. Countless golden roots, as thick as arms, burst out to shred us. A fierce, enraged roar echoed from afar. Escorted by 100 treants, a gigantic treant king, over 100 meters tall, slowly appeared. I took a step back in silence. Even though all my base stats now exceed 50, rushing in there would probably be suicide. I know my limits very well. An enemy this powerful is a job for Yeming. I should definitely leave this to my summon. Hemming's gaze turned fierce. Black flames ignited on his body as he immediately shifted into his most powerful form and charged at the treant king in the center. The black flames hungrily devoured everything. The treants kept letting out agonizing screams. I seized the opportunity to step in and clean up. Seeing his kin die in agony, the treant king let out a booming laugh. Countless golden branches rained down on Yeming, who completely ignored defense. He dashed frantically toward the treant king's main body. Hemming's claws were razor-sharp. Arcs of black light slashed wildly at the treant king, as if tearing off its bark. The treant king's face twisted in pain. All of its branches tried to impale Yeming from different angles, but Yeming, relying on his physical defense, traded blow for blow. The black flames slowly began to crawl up the treant king. The treant king's eyes were filled with terror. He felt his own life slowly slipping away. The treant king was terrified. He tried frantically to flee, but Yeming let out another roar. Instantly, the black flames chained him down. Hemming's attacks became even more brutal. At that moment, Zhao Hiyang and the other three, who had rushed over to help, swallowed hard. Shock was written all over their faces. A level 15, Tier 2 monster. The treant king was being completely dominated. Their arrival also surprised me a bit. Just then, a deafening crash echoed. The treant king was completely destroyed. A white light erupted from my body. I had leveled up to level 8. At the same time, my score on the tracker increased by another 3,000. I left the last few treants for them so they could get some kills. Getting points so easily left Miao Shanchang's mouth slightly agape. In barely 10 minutes, our scores had reached the minimum cutoff for the top academies. Before this, was there ever a single time we didn't have to go all out against a monster? Zhao Huyang shook his head. Shen Lin's Yeming is just too insane. No matter how we killed those treants, not a single one turned back. At that moment, all the black flames returned to Hemming's body. Hemming's normal size reached 7 meters. My base stats have all exceeded 70 points. I just reached level 10, so I can proceed with my first class change. This year's entrance exam is over. The dungeon is starting to calculate the scores. Enveloped in white light, countless students returned one by one to the massive plaza. A wave of cheers immediately welcomed them. Yeming, standing at 7 meters tall, crouched by my side, imposing and motionless. He really did it. He took first place. Limingzi and the teachers were flushed with excitement. This is terrifying. He has 3 different talents, and he's incredibly strong himself. Clearing this many bosses as a summoner is unheard of. Old Lu, you've got one hell of a student. Come on, let's go. Welcome Shen Lin. An impatient Limingzi urged them along. On the other side of the plaza, Liu Ruyang's face was pale with regret. She had abandoned the dungeon an hour earlier and was eliminated. Her score isn't even high enough to get into a top academy. It's all his fault. His summon was clearly not weak, but he didn't tell me. If he had just told me, I would have never teamed up with Lu Lian. Just thinking about it brings back the arrogant look on my rival's face. At that moment, Su Lingshu was also surrounded by the teachers and the principal of school number 3. They were sighing among themselves, saying school number 2 got insanely lucky to produce such a prodigy. Yeah, right? Lingshu, don't get discouraged. Your score of 19,500 is already excellent. Su Lingshu smiled to show he was doing fine, then looked towards school number 2 with a hint of curiosity, looking thoughtful. That was exactly when the provincial rankings were published. Unsurprisingly, I was ranked first. I can only say that Yeming is an absolute monster. Not only is his growth limitless, but his combat power becomes more and more terrifying with every single evolution. I can't wait to see my next summon. Once I got back home, I shared the news with my little sister and my mother. Plus, the prize of 1 million yuan for first place in the province has already been wired to my account. From now on, my mom and sister won't have to scrape by anymore. After that, I went back to my room to prepare for my first class change. This initial change requires completing a reincarnation dungeon through random matchmaking. Staring at the panel, I clicked on it without a single second of hesitation. Instantly, I vanished from my room. Optional Quest 1. Eliminate 1,000 plague beasts and protect the survivors to the best of your ability. Optional Quest 2. Help the plague matriarch devour everything to evolve. Number of participants this time, 10 people. Time limit, 24 hours. Leaving the instance on your own is impossible. Without any warning, I suddenly materialized in the middle of some ruins. I frowned slightly. Without even thinking, I chose the first quest right away. Help the plague matriarch devour everything, but if I did that, what would happen to Yeming? Right at that moment, a figure was thrown right through the glass door nearby. A shower of shattered glass rained down as a petite girl crashed to the ground. A skinless, blood-red crawling beast leaped out from the dark shop, lunging straight at her. The girl desperately reached for the long saber beside her, but she was just a split second too slow. The sheer terror of death washed over her. Instinctively, she shielded herself with her hands. Right then, a flash of a sword sliced through the air. The crawling disaster beast was decapitated. Completely off balance, the monster's body crashed to the ground. I turned to the stunned girl and said, "Hey there. I'm Shen Lin, and I'm Lu Yu." I was just about to ask her some questions about this world when suddenly, a loud alarm blared. "Crisis situation in progress. All units, fall back." Lu Yu's face went pale. She grabbed my arm. "Quick, we have to get out of here." She hadn't even finished her sentence when a car, hurled from a distance, came flying right at us. With a swift pull, I yanked Lu Yu behind me and raised my staff horizontally. Bracing myself, I took the violent impact of the car head-on. I slid back about 10 meters before coming to a stop. Lu Yu panicked and ran over, completely ignoring her own pain. "Are you okay? Are you hurt?" I calmed my turbulent energy, shook my head, and stared straight ahead. A creature stood on two legs, a disaster beast covered in razor-sharp spikes. It was a Daomo. "There's no running now." Lu Yu's expression grew dead serious. Her hand unconsciously tightened around the hilt of her saber. The Daomo picked up speed, and a split second later, the ground beneath its feet shattered as it charged with terrifying force. Before Lu Yu could even react, a figure bolted past her like a flash of lightning, launching straight at the monster. I unsheathed the hidden blade of my staff, clashing with the Daomo's razor-sharp arm blades. The impact made a ringing, metallic sound. The Daomo let out a screeching howl as its other blade arm swung down toward my head, but I parried it with brute force. I yelled to Lu Yu, "Toss me your saber." Without a moment's hesitation, she gripped the handle of her weapon, drew it, and threw it right to me. My eyes flared with battle lust. "Let's do this." Sensing my provocation, the Daomo charged, wildly swinging both of its blade arms. I felt zero fear. With a sword in one hand and a saber in the other, we exchanged dozens of blows in just 5 seconds, moving so fast we left after images behind. After a flurry of clashes, I spotted an opening. I tilted my head to dodge a lethal strike, and immediately swung the long saber in my left hand upward, slicing the Daomo's arm clean off. Without giving it a second to recover, I drove my sword straight through its heart, piercing its tough hide and coming out clean through its back. Massaging her still sore arm, Lu Yu walked up to me and asked, "You're not from around here, are you?" I replied in a flat voice, "Can you tell me a bit about this world? It's the Scourge. The plague has been raging for a whole month now. More and more people couldn't handle the torment. They lost their minds and mutated into monsters that exist only to slaughter. And now, the plague has mutated even further. It's even corrupting the mountains and rivers. Humanity has no idea how to survive anymore." Listening to her story, I was starting to get a clear picture of this world. Just then, about 10 people burst around the street corner, their faces twisted in absolute panic. "Xiao Yu, what are you still doing here?" "Run!" screamed the tall woman leading them. The second the words left her mouth, the ground began to shake violently, like a raging torrent rushing toward us, while dozens of gigantic plague dragons swarmed the sky. Then, deafening roars erupted from all directions. Disaster beasts began appearing on the rooftops of the buildings, their bloodshot, murderous eyes locked dead on us. In an instant, they formed a solid wall, trapping us on all sides. As they closed in, everyone's legs felt like lead, and utter despair gripped their hearts. Everyone swallowed hard. "Xiao Yu, stay right behind me." After saying that, Lu Yu glanced over at me. She probably thought I belonged to some other group of survivors, but I didn't pay it any mind. I just started walking straight forward. "Wait, what are you doing? We're surrounded." "This is no time to play the lone hero." A smirk played on my lips. No. They're the ones surrounded by me. If I slaughter all of these plague beasts, my score is going to skyrocket." With a sudden flash of blinding white light, the 7-meter-tall Yeming materialized instantly. His roar shook the sky. Hemming's icy gaze locked onto what lay ahead, a massive wave of scourge creatures. Then, he transformed directly into his colossal form, suddenly towering at 28 meters, his massive body easily overtaking the surrounding buildings. Hemming tensed the muscles in all 4 of his limbs, instantly shattering the ground beneath him. Like a missile, he launched himself right into the middle of the horde, radiating a blinding, searing heat. Not a single creature lasted more than a few seconds before screaming in agony and dying, dissolving into pure nutrients. Everyone watching from a distance was left completely speechless. Suddenly, about 10 creatures lunged right at me. "Watch out!" Seeing this, Lulu screamed to warn me and rushed forward to help, but in the next second, she froze in her tracks. Far from backing down, I charged straight at them. With my blade and my sword, I carved them to pieces like it was absolutely nothing. In the blink of an eye, I slaughtered every single creature attacking me. Lulu's jaw dropped. He doesn't have a single trace of the Scourge mutation. He should be weak. Suddenly, a chilling thought crossed Lulu's mind. 6 months ago, while out scavenging for supplies, she had run into people who were just as powerful, without any mutations. Those people had destroyed the survivors' secret base. They fed them to the Scourge creatures, watching them get slaughtered. And when they saw any survivors trying to escape, they snapped their legs on the spot. They were a bunch of heartless monsters without an ounce of humanity. One of them even said, "We're of the same species." Lulu never forgot those words, but Shen Lin is different from them. He saved my life twice. As if he had guessed exactly what Lulu was thinking, he quickly spoke up to explain. Lulu took a deep breath, a flicker of hatred burning in her eyes. "Whatever, just stay far away from him. Right now, he's drawing the attention of most of the creatures. Let's take this chance to break through their lines." But as they drew closer, a bolt of lightning suddenly struck the ground. No entry. A golden-haired young man, holding a book, stepped out from a skyscraper. As the golden-haired youth chanted, spheres of lightning materialized one after another. My expression instantly darkened, and I swung my long blade to block a sudden attack from the side. Clang! A rapier clashed against my blade. An exquisitely beautiful woman slowly materialized right in front of me. I didn't hesitate for a second. My sword sliced right through her slender waist, but she suddenly vanished, reappearing dozens of meters away without saying a single word. I pushed off the ground with explosive power, lunging straight at her. Seeing this, she screamed in panic, "Are you just going to stand there? Get in here." Before she could even finish, a wave of raging flames erupted from a nearby building, and our attacks clashed in a shower of sparks. "Are you seriously just a summoner?" The burly man, engulfed in flames, clicked his tongue. The blazing heat whipped against my face, but my expression remained dead cold. With a powerful sweep of my blade, I forced them back. 4 people then stepped out from different directions. In reincarnation instances, killing each other is strictly forbidden. Any violation immediately triggers a bounty, except in faction-based reincarnation dungeons. I honestly never thought someone would actually make that choice. Mission number 1. Have you folks from Daxia never encountered a reincarnation dungeon before? If you want to survive, you have to make the right choice, and the Calamity faction obviously has the biggest advantage. Anyone with half a brain would know what to choose. To these 6 people, I was just prey that had walked right into their trap. I simply smiled and said in a calm, casual voice, "Tell me, my friends, have you ever heard this saying? The best hunters often disguise themselves as prey. Since I lured you out here so easily, did you really think I didn't have a plan to deal with you? You spoke so beautifully just now. So, as a reward, how about I gift you all your deaths?" A dark grin slowly spread across my face. Dinner is served. It's time for Yeming to begin his feast. A ferocious roar echoed through the air as pitch-black flames spread out for hundreds of meters, taking the form of a gargantuan black wolf. In an instant, he grew another 8 meters taller, his appearance becoming even more savage and terrifying. A deep, visceral dread gripped everyone as the giant black wolf lunged straight at them. Instantly, absolute terror surged through the 4 of them from head to toe, their minds on the very brink of snapping from the sheer fright. Just as the giant black wolf raised his claws to strike, 3 of them managed to snap out of their panic and scattered like lightning to dodge. The last one, the unluckiest of the bunch, didn't even have time to let out a scream before being instantly ripped to shreds by the giant black wolf. A cold sweat broke out over the survivors. They thought they only needed to stall the summon, but it turned out the summoner's combat power was already on par with their own. To make matters worse, this creature didn't just have insane physical strength and monstrous damage, it also possessed powerful crowd control skills. Stalling was completely out of the question. Surviving for even 3 minutes would be a miracle. Seeing them falter, the giant black wolf lunged at the nearest target. The blonde youth grit his teeth. He began frantically chanting arcane spells. Instantly, violent streaks of lightning surged and intertwined. They condensed into chains half a meter wide, instantly binding the giant black wolf's torso and all 4 of its legs. "Hurry up and kill him. I can only hold him for 10 seconds. Before the words even left his mouth, the giant black wolf swiped its right claw, instantly shattering the lightning chains. "How is this possible? This is my awakening talent." The blonde youth stood there, completely dumbfounded. After I used my reinforcement spell, Yeming's power surged to a whole new level. No one dared to hesitate any longer. Everyone immediately unleashed their ultimate trump cards. The woman split into multiple shadow clones, rushing at me from every angle. Suddenly, countless ice stalactites materialized above her and rained down, forcing her to fall back. A girl with long, icy hair stepped forward gracefully, frost spreading across the ground with every step she took. Sure enough, the nearest calamity beasts were instantly frozen solid. "Leave her to me," the burly man roared, charging straight at her while cloaked in raging flames. The other three launched a simultaneous attack, aiming to take me down right then and there. But just then, a loud, booming voice echoed out, "Hey, you brats!" Right in their eyes, taunt skill activated. Instantly, all three of them whipped around, their eyes burning with pure hatred, glaring at the big, burly man wielding a shield. Right after, the giant black wolf materialized behind the three men who had completely lost their minds. The very next second, their fate was sealed. All three men were sliced into 4 pieces. Without wasting a moment, Yeming whipped around and charged, smashing into a nearby building. A shower of sharp debris rained down on the young woman, ripping through her clothes and tearing into her skin. Yeming closed the distance in a split second. He raised his razor-sharp claws, and dark flames completely consumed her body. On the other side, a freezing torrent suddenly erupted, and everything in its path, whether buildings or living creatures, was turned into solid ice. The burly man was instantly frozen into a block of ice. Out of the 7 targets, only 1 was left standing. Then, every eye, burning with deadly intent, locked onto the young blonde man. The young blonde man's face drained of color. He fired off a volley of lightning before spinning on his heels and running for his life. I dodged all his attacks with a few quick leaps. Then, with a backhand slice of my blade, the blonde young man was torn to pieces. "Do you know about the Calamity Mother Beast?" my voice echoed. He nodded. "It's a creature that arose from countless Calamity Beasts, an entity that developed a new consciousness. Are we going to kill the Calamity Mother Beast?" I nodded. "We probably have to kill it to get the highest score. It's also the only way to bring a glimmer of hope to this world." Just then, Su Lingshu walked over. "We meet again, Shen Lin." Holy crap. Before I could even reply, the big guy gasped in shock. "Big brother, so you're the famous Winter Guardian. No wonder you're so incredibly strong." After talking for a while, the bond between the three of us grew closer. I also learned that the big guy's name was Luo Zhang. I told them about my plan to kill the Calamity Mother Beast, and they agreed without a second thought. We immediately set out for the city center. Soon after, we reached a massive bridge. Suddenly, the glowing red eyes of the Calamity Beasts lit up one by one, and they surged toward us in a furious tide. Yeming instantly unleashed an intimidating roar, then charged straight into the horde of beasts flooding the entire road. Dark flames erupted, but my face remained completely calm. "The Mother Beast has spotted us." Su Lingshu's eyes turned an icy blue, making him look like a silent god. Instantly, sharp icicles materialized above his head at the mere command of his will. The icicles shot forward, tearing through the horde of beasts blocking our path from behind. Countless beasts were impaled, falling in rows like bowling pins, but more of them just kept flooding in. Every monster in the city was converging on us from all sides. I could feel the pressure building. There were hundreds of thousands, maybe even 1 million calamity beasts in this city. Even if we fought until we dropped, we couldn't possibly kill them all. So I shouted, "We have to cut off the head of the snake. Yeming, go kill the Calamity Mother Beast." Hearing my words, Yeming immediately whipped around and charged toward the bridge. From the other side, a terrifyingly oppressive aura loomed. It was the Calamity Mother Beast. Just as Yeming reached the other side of the bridge, a dark red tentacle, over 10 meters long, shot out from the fog. It slammed into him with full force. Yeming was thrown back, smashing through several buildings that collapsed one after another. He only stopped after skidding more than 20 meters. Yeming let out a furious roar that blew away the dust. He rose from the concrete rubble and shredded corpses, his gaze icy. His slit pupils locked onto the Calamity Mother Beast, a colossal eyeball over 60 meters wide. Countless smaller pupils on its surface were also trained on Yeming. His dark flames erupted with renewed fury. Without a moment's hesitation, he charged, moving like a flash of lightning. Under the sheer force of Yeming's charge, the ruined buildings around them shook violently. The countless pupils of the giant eyeball contracted all at once. 15 dark red tentacles lashed down at Yeming. Facing the onslaught of dark red tentacles, Yeming dodged everything he possibly could. When dodging was impossible, a dark glow enveloped his sharp claws. He slashed back violently, but the impact sounded like metal scraping against metal. Suddenly, Yeming was whipped by one of the tentacles and sent flying. The distance he had fought so hard to close was widened once again. Up until now, Yeming had always relied on raw power. With his sheer strength and overwhelming defense, he excelled in close combat, dominating completely. But now, against the tentacles of this giant eye, he was completely powerless. With a roar, his black flames flared up with everything he had. Scorching heat exploded in an instant, radiating in all directions. Yeming unleashed his full power, burning through his mana at a breakneck speed. He was putting everything on the line in a fight to the death. On my end, my face darkened because, through my spiritual link with Yeming, I could faintly feel his life force fading. Suddenly, Su Lingshu opened his eyes, which were shining with a crystalline light. Glacial annihilation. The moisture in the air evaporated instantly. Countless disaster beasts were turned into ice crystals, shattered fragments, scattering in all directions. Seizing this opening, I made up my mind on the spot. Let's go find the Sea of Calamities. Our only chance is to evolve, Yeming right now. Shortly after, the three of us reached the city's center. A roar echoed directly ahead of us. Without a second thought, the three of us dashed forward. We soon spotted Yeming, severely wounded and on the verge of death. But his claws were dug deep into the ground. Despite being battered by the purple tentacles, he refused to yield an inch, stepping forward one agonizing step at a time with unbreakable determination. I rushed toward him. Yeming, devour these disaster beasts. I immediately cast a recovery and enhancement spell on him. A faint white light enveloped Yeming. With a fierce roar, he shoved the purple tentacles aside and immediately lunged into the horde of beasts. His black flames bloomed like a lotus. The giant eye realized something was terribly wrong. It instantly ordered all the beasts to retreat, but it was too late. Countless black flames, pulsing with a devouring energy, surged back into Yeming's body. Without a second thought, I clicked Restart Evolution on the interface. A terrifying, dark power erupted from the depths of his being. It exploded, forming a massive pillar of black light that shot straight into the sky. Yeming's body instantly surged, growing past 100 meters tall. Congratulations! Your summon, Yeming, has acquired the skill, Dumoth. Congratulations! Your summon, Yeming, has acquired a new talent, Adamantium Body. All of his attributes shot up by 60 points. I let out a deep sigh of relief. What an insane upgrade! Yeming locked his gaze onto the giant eye. His body was completely renewed, his thick fur radiating a faint golden glow. He exuded a majestic, divine aura. The pupils of the giant eye trembled violently. The moment that dark power erupted, the monster was completely frozen, paralyzed by this terrifying, all-devouring aura. It couldn't even budge, but its fear quickly turned into an endless, burning rage. It could also evolve by devouring others. It was meant to be the supreme ruler. Its massive, purple tentacles whipped down all at once, tearing through the air. But Yeming stood firm as a mountain, not moving an inch. 15 purple tentacles violently lashed his body, but they barely made his golden aura flicker. Suddenly, black flames, a fusion of gluttony and concentrated power, erupted. They manifested into the towering silhouette of a ferocious, tyrannical beast over 400 meters tall. In the blink of an eye, the entire area for 1 kilometer around turned into a raging sea of black fire. Yeming charged straight at the giant eye. As he raised his claws, the massive phantom beast behind him did the exact same. A massive claw of condensed black flames slashed down. Several pupils of the giant eye were instantly torn open, and it unleashed a deafening shriek of pure agony. Its tentacles thrashed wildly against Yeming, but they couldn't deal a single scratch. The giant eye roared in frustration, absorbing malevolent energy that rapidly fused into its body. In an instant, its size ballooned to an unbelievable scale, and countless razor-sharp spikes erupted all over its dark red tentacles. This was the power it had been hoarding to evolve to a higher state of existence. Now, it was forced to burn through it way too early. The dark red tentacles swarmed Yeming from every direction. The two powerhouses clashed violently, sending shockwaves through the trembling earth as their roars echoed across the sky. Hours passed. Amidst the ruins, only Yeming remained standing, while the countless pupils of the giant eye grew dim. Its massive body was slowly, completely consumed by the black flames. Watching this, Su Lingshu and I couldn't help but laugh. Slaying the Calamity Mother Beast along with several thousand other Calamity Beasts guaranteed us an insanely high score. With the chime of a system notification, all three of us vanished instantly. Time synchronization complete. Calculating your score based on performance. You have slain a total of 8,560 Calamity Beasts and successfully eliminated the Calamity Mother Beast. Congratulations. You have achieved a perfect score. Your class has been promoted to Master Soul Summoner, a unique and ultra-rare class. This is a specialized path forged entirely by your own achievements. Congratulations. You have learned a new class skill, Arcane Blade Condensation. Skill effect. Manifests a blade hovering between reality and illusion, completely ignoring the target's physical defense. Inflicts a unique form of mental trauma. I stared at the status screen, completely stunned. It bypasses physical armor to strike directly at the target's soul. That means as long as my opponent doesn't have mental defense, they can be insta-killed. Man, just thinking about this skill gives me goosebumps. In an instant, a sword etched with countless glowing runes materialized in my hand. But as the arcane blade condensed, it completely drained my spiritual energy. I shook my head, sighing. I let the arcane blade disperse. Yeah, this is definitely a trump card, only to be used as a last resort. Smirking, I pulled out my phone. After accepting friend requests from Hong Yi, Luo Xiang, and Su Lingsu, I immediately noticed a message from Luan. It read, "The recruiters from the top academies are arriving today at 2 p.m. Make sure you're at the school." I thought about it for a second. Since I had nothing else to do, I got up and headed straight over. At Fanyan High School number 2, Lewin was waiting by the gates. The moment he spotted me, he rushed over. There you are. Finally. You won't believe it, 5 of the top academies have sent recruiters to our school. This is completely unprecedented for Fanyan City. I followed Lewin back to his office, where he pulled out a dragon-shaped ring from his desk drawer. This is your reward from the city hall. It contains the gear and skill books you've been looking for. My eyes instantly lit up. These were exactly what I needed right now. The common grade sword I'd been using was practically falling apart after so many intense battles. It was already badly damaged. I took the ring and sent my consciousness inside. Instantly, 2 descriptions popped up. First, the sky-shattering Omnisword. In its vast sky sword form, it receives a heavenly blessing, making it completely indestructible. In its heavenly fall form, it gains the aura of wisdom. This restores my spiritual energy continuously and boosts the effects of any skill by 50%. Next up was the skill book. Its effect, close at hand, lets me instantly teleport up to 100 meters away. Looking at this gear in the skill book, I was incredibly satisfied. Around 2 p.m., a sleek black official car pulled up in front of the school, and a man and a woman stepped out. Lewin walked over with a tense, solemn expression, not daring to show any disrespect. Recruiters from the elite academies were all powerhouse, martial transfigured. Even the city mayor had to treat them with the utmost respect. Soon, we entered the reception room. One of them asked bluntly, "Where is Shen Lin?" Right as he said that, the door opened, and we walked in. Their eyes instantly swept over me, sizing me up from head to toe. Not bad. With looks like that, you'd fit right in at my young academy. Have a seat. Hearing this, Fang Yi immediately scowled in annoyance. I can overlook the circus outside, but does Yunki Academy really recruit people based on looks alone? He then turned to me, offering a sweet deal. Shen Lin, join my Qingtian Academy. You'll have unlimited access to any resources you want. Only 3 items as a sign-on bonus? That's practically pocket change. I think you're severely underestimating the worth of our top awakened talent here. Yeah, exactly. Shen Lin, he's totally looking down on you. Don't go there just to get insulted. Li Mingzi and Lewin stood there, completely dumbfounded by the bickering. The atmosphere grew incredibly tense in a split second. The moment anyone dared to make an offer, the other 4 would immediately rip it to shreds. As things degenerated into absolute chaos, Chi Fei took a deep breath while looking at me. He suddenly spoke up. You've already reached your first awakening, haven't you? I assume you haven't actually started learning your summoning skills yet. If you join Yunki, I can bypass the usual channels and apply directly to the higher-ups for you. To give you the absolute best materials for your summoning, your Black Wolf has a growth talent. Just ask for any resource you need. There are no limits. Hearing that, the other 4 fell dead silent. Even to them, these terms seemed incredibly generous. This year, there are at least 10 candidates with over 20,000 points. If we blow too many resources on recruiting the winter champion, we'll struggle to compete for the others later. Deciding it wasn't worth the trouble, the 4 quietly backed out. I just shook my head. Everything else is fine. But as for tying myself down, forget it. Jifet's brow relaxed. With a playful grin, he added, and hey, if you like older, more mature types, I'm always available. I was about to correct him, but the words got stuck in my throat. In the end, I still chose Junkei Academy, and no, it wasn't because Jifet was incredibly handsome. It was mostly because he offered way too much to pass up. Before long, orientation day arrived. Junkei Academy, located in Songqian City, the capital of Juzong Province. Countless elite students from all over the country gather here. First, I headed to a random dorm room. Inside, it was fully stocked with gear and daily essentials. Just then, my special device buzzed. A message popped up. Your summoning materials have been approved. Let me know if you need anything else. I'll do whatever it takes to get it for you. After sending the message, Jifet leaned back in his plush chair. His assistant, standing nearby, looked completely baffled. Sir, those resources are enough to recruit 4 provincial champions. This is way beyond Shen Lin's actual worth. If I'm being honest, he doesn't deserve even a fraction of what we offered. Jifet just smiled and looked at him. The freshman competition starts tomorrow. You'll see for yourself then. Back in my room, I laid out the summoning materials on the floor. I reached my hand out into the empty air. As I cast the summoning spell, the room flooded with a brilliant white light. After a few minutes, a creature emerged, fluttering 2 pairs of deep purple wings. It was a 60-centimeter long, pure silver butterfly. Please don't tell me you're another useless weakling. My mouth twitched. I silently pulled up its status screen. Summoned Beast, Yingdi. Level 1. Strength 1. Constitution 1. Agility 1. Magic 1. Only 4 base stat points in total. This is even worse than my starting stats. I shook my head in disbelief. This literally breaks the record for the weakest summon in history, but that's fine. I'll grant you infinite potential myself. I watched the silver butterfly flutter slowly toward me, and held out my finger for it to land. Analysis initiating. Loyalty 100%. Will never betray. Establishing soul link. Awaiting confirmation. Instantly, an agonizing pain ripped through me, as if my very soul was being torn apart from the inside. Congratulations. Your summoned beast has awakened its SSS rank unique talent, Divine Metamorphosis. It can transform into any shape or form to acquire different abilities. In an instant, Yingdi dissolved into a glowing light and took on my exact appearance. In a flat, robotic voice, he said, "Master, preliminary analysis complete. I finally understood the terrifying power of Divine Metamorphosis." I opened the crate, revealing pieces of heavy combat armor. Pointing at Yingdi, I connected with him telepathically. Yingdi gave a slight nod, turned back into a glowing light, and wrapped around my arm. Instantly, a sleek silver armor materialized, slowly spreading to cover my entire body. It was a perfect fit. It felt as if the armor was a natural extension of my own body. A satisfied smile spread across my face. On top of that, Divine Metamorphosis can increase its durability by absorbing and merging with metals. No doubt about it, it's just like my gluttonous greed talent. With that in mind, I decided to focus on training the silver butterfly first. I shot a message over to Jafet. I need some metal materials with specific properties. Barely half an hour later, a delivery notification popped up. It was a haul of rare metal ores with various unique elemental properties. Every single one of these was considered a high-grade, premium resource. Back in my room, I began merging the silver butterfly with the rare ores. Soon, the armor covering my body grew incredibly tough. Even a second awakened warrior would have a hard time scratching it. At the same time, the armor's weight surged to a staggering 5 tons, though I didn't feel a thing. But if I landed on an enemy, it would feel like a mountain collapsing right on top of them. When I walked into the common area, my 3 roommates, who had heard the commotion, looked a bit surprised. One of them stepped forward. This was Feng Yi, who ranked second in Xinjiang province. He had managed to score the highest in his province with a common class. An impressive feat, sure, but was it just dumb luck? And because he got carried by some overpowered summon, sneered a cold-looking guy. This was the second-place scorer from Long Province, who pulled a massive 23,000 points on the entrance exam. In his eyes, Shen Lin only got first place because his province lacked any real competition. As the saying goes, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Feng Yi offered a faint smile. Personally, I think the fact that such a powerful summon answered his call in the first place proves Shen Lin is something special. Just as a fight was about to break out, an announcement echoed across the entire campus. Attention, all freshmen. Grab your weapons and gear, and assemble at Yingjiao Square immediately. Looks like the freshman tournament is starting half a month early, Wei Yang muttered, leaning back on the couch. Besides, mutant beasts have been acting up outside the city walls. The academy probably wants us to clear them out as a test. Hearing this, I stayed silent. My mind drifted back to the reincarnation dungeon. I never expected that this world would face the exact same crisis so soon. Suddenly, the arrogant voice of that cold-faced guy snapped me back to reality. Hey, starting early is perfect. Shen Lin, I'm going to crush you and prove that I'm the one who deserves the top spot. The guy looked down his nose at me. I just smirked. All right, let's see who's really the best. But honestly, I'll be the one doing the crushing. Down at Yingjiao Square, the freshmen were gathering one by one. The group leader let out a heavy sigh. Those who rank at the bottom will be forced to go outside the city walls to hunt mutant beasts, fighting to survive and level up in the shadow of death. The secretary behind him nodded and spoke while holding her tablet. The freshman tournament is officially starting now. You are about to enter a massive level 20 to 30 dungeon, the Rift Canyon. This major competition will determine the resources you'll be allocated in the future. Once the announcement ended, the dungeon gate slowly opened. A terrifying aura washed over the entire area, making some people's legs turn to jelly. Their lips trembled slightly. Is this a joke? I haven't even had my first class transfer yet. How are we supposed to fight in a place like that? Lu Huxian anxiously searched through the crowd. He quickly spotted the guy he was counting on the Great Lin. I saw Lu Huxian running toward me, accompanied by a young, gray-skinned female demon with short hair. He had told me he'd enroll in the academy with me, but I thought he was just joking. I didn't think he'd actually do it. This is my little sister, Luo Ning. I made a face. Luo Ning hid timidly behind her brother, speaking in a tiny, quiet voice. I gave a resigned sigh and sent them a party invite. Seeing me dragging along teammates like dead weight, the poker-faced guy frowned slightly. Just before entering the dungeon, he said coldly, "Just make sure you don't lose too miserably, Shen Lin." I didn't reply. In an instant, the 3 of us vanished. Soon, all the students had entered the dungeon. An instructor waved his hand and cast a water projection spell. The Rift Canyon stretched for hundreds of kilometers, looking like a massive labyrinth. The moment we stepped inside, a roar echoed right ahead. Perfect, this is my chance to test my current strength. With just a thought, a silver butterfly appeared in a flash of white light. Instantly, My body was covered in silver combat armor. I reached out my right hand, and the heavenly fist blade scepter appeared instantly. Then I drew the silver sword from my back and leaped forward. My figure vanished, reappearing in the blink of an eye in front of the monsters, dozens of meters away. A skill normally used for escaping, but I use it to close the gap instantly. I swung my celestial blade down, cutting through them like butter. It sliced through the bodies of several monsters with absolute ease. Without stopping, my movements became a total blur. In the blink of an eye, I had pierced through every single one of them. The monsters didn't even have time to react. They collapsed with looks of utter shock in their eyes. Seeing this, Lu Huxian shouted excitedly, "Lin, you're freaking amazing. We don't even have to do anything, and our experience points are skyrocketing. This is the true joy of being carried." Outside, the instructors watching the broadcast were in complete shock. This kind of speed and damage was almost on the level of a hidden melee class. His base stats are completely off the charts. Even Shen Lin, with his second-class specialization, shouldn't have this much raw melee power. That was when one of the instructors, thinking deeply, asked, "What if it's that silver butterfly?" His second summon, a summon that can transform into weapons, is completely unheard of. Even the dean, despite his vast knowledge, was slightly surprised. Seeing the smug grin on Jifit's face, he shook his head. Right now, about 10 people have more points than Shen Lin. Party scores don't yield much. If he's only capable of this, he won't deserve his champion title. He's your future son-in-law. Why are you so happy to see him make a fool of himself? Just as Jifit was about to snap back, he got smacked on the back of his head. Fu Chang's head was covered in dark blood. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon, my silver armor was already drenched in blood. I can easily one-shot these level 20 monsters. It seems I've reached the peak of the second evolution. Even if I can't defeat a third evolution fighter, I can easily escape unscathed. At that moment, a wave of negative emotions flooded my mind, trying to force me to end my own life. Seeing me stand still, Lu Huxian hurriedly shouted, "Xiao Ning, deactivate your domain," knowing full well how unique her gift was. Luo Ning panicked and immediately deactivated it. I smiled to reassure her. "Don't worry about it. This kind of thing doesn't affect me at all." I glanced at my tracker. Only 120 points. This is way too slow. To get stronger quickly, I absolutely must come in first place and secure the backing and resources of the Academy. Whether it's for Yingdi or Yeming, I need an immense amount of resources. At that thought, my will manifested. In a flash of white light, a massive, violent demonic wolf appeared. Its terrifying howl echoed throughout the entire canyon. Seeing Yeming for the first time, Luo Ning jumped in fear and hid behind me. I then ordered him, "Go, Yeming, devour every single demonic beast in this canyon." Hearing my command, Yeming's eyes flared with fury, and he vanished on the spot. He had charged straight into the depths of the canyon. Shortly after, the tracker on my wrist kept buzzing as my points skyrocketed. I headed down another path, ready to farm both sides at once. In the distance, a girl unleashed a purple lightning dragon, striking down at the countless monsters below. Upon impact, the ground cracked. Reddish lightning exploded and raged within a radius of 100 meters, annihilating all the monsters. The girl had an unsatisfied look on her face. These useless trash can't even put up a fight. Seeing her older sister in the middle of another battle frenzy, Ruo Lan looked completely hopeless. Suddenly, an oppressive, burning aura filled the air. Before she could even react, she saw Lu Hongying's eyes flare with a burning thirst for battle. Raging purple lightning erupted instantly, wrapping around her black spear as she stared at the giant black rock wolf charging straight at her. Its vertical pupils sent a shiver of fear through her. Yet, almost instantly, a look of sheer madness appeared on Lu Hongying's beautiful face, and she charged straight at the giant wolf. Seeing her sister charge forward without a shred of fear, Ruo Lan, well accustomed to this, smoothly went to work. She quickly applied several power and protection buffs. Thanks to these enhancements, her combat power doubled on the spot. She could now rival even a third evolution boss. When the two clashed, the colossal force of the impact instantly triggered a shockwave. It rippled out in all directions. But when she saw the giant black wolf emerge completely unharmed, with a golden glow floating around it, Ruo Lan's face froze. That attack clearly had the power of a third evolution. How was he completely fine? Yeming looked down coldly at the human at his feet who had just attacked him for no reason. With just a single swipe of its paw under that terrifying strength, the three protective barriers shattered, one after another. Luo Ning was sent flying backward. Ruan's face went completely pale. She clasped her hands together, summoning a holy image that stood dozens of meters tall. The guardian angel of victory manifests here, angel's blessing and S-rank talent. Instantly, a shield of golden light rose up, wrapping around the two of them. Luo Ning immediately screamed, "Get back, quickly!" But before she could even finish, Yeming, who had been closing in step by step, already raised his elbow, a dark glow pulsing from it. In an instant, the golden shield was shattered to pieces. He threw them a freezing look, then just walked right past them, completely ignoring them. Outside, there was dead silence. Every single instructor, even Principal Fushan, was completely speechless. Is this really the kind of power a summoner who just changed classes a few days ago should have? It's absolutely terrifying. This level of strength completely surpasses a second-class advancement, doesn't it? Staring at this mind-blowing power, one thought crossed everyone's mind. Invincible, at his level. A literal monster of his generation. Seeing Jifei's smug, triumphant grin, Jiang Lei felt like he'd taken a critical hit of 10,000 points of damage. Against such crazy, tiny odds, he actually won his bet. Is he really a genius? Over the next 10 hours, Yeming slaughtered tens of thousands of monsters and even took down 3 Tier 3 bosses 10. He only needs 1,300 more points for his next evolution. And that's just from half a day's work. But the further you go, the harder it gets to level up. As for Luo Ruan and Luo Ning, they were beyond thrilled. This was the first time they'd ever leveled up so easily, without lifting a single finger. I looked at my data tracker with a grin. My score had already reached 34,000 points. Not far away, Yeming was heading back after wiping out everything in sight. I quickly cast a healing spell on him. Before long, the white light signaling the end of the dungeon's time limit enveloped us, teleporting us right back to Yinqiao Plaza. Instantly, countless stunned eyes locked onto us. All around, so many students looked completely defeated, especially that deadpan guy. His face was a picture of pure humiliation as he stared down at the ground, still reeling from being badly injured by a giant black wolf's single swipe. Just then, the principal's secretary called out, "I will now announce the student rankings. In first place, Shen Lin, with 34,500 points. Hearing this, the deadpan guy's eyes went wide, and he whipped around to stare at the holographic screen. There was my score, sitting at the very top, miles ahead of everyone else. Below my name, the scores took a massive, steep dive. Second place, Feng Yi, only had 13,000 points. That's completely impossible. The deadpan guy couldn't believe his eyes. He was convinced there was a mistake in the rankings, and he wasn't the only one. Tons of other students found it hard to believe. How on earth did everyone else, even the 2 silver medalists, end up with such low scores? Seeing how confused everyone was, the secretary cleared things up. The giant black wolf you all ran into is actually Shen Lin's summon. Many of you tried to stop it, only to get seriously hurt in a single hit. Hearing that, everyone's eyes filled with absolute shock. Standing on the stage, the principal's secretary announced, "The freshman competition has officially concluded. Your reward credits will be deposited directly into your accounts. You are dismissed." Back at our private dorms, when I pushed the door open and walked in, the deadpan guy looked a bit awkward. He hesitated for a second, then took a deep breath and said, "Your packages arrived earlier. Looks like it's your second batch of materials. Since you weren't around, I put them in your room." I was actually a little surprised. I smiled and said, "Oh, okay. Thanks." The deadpan guy looked away, muttering, don't mention it," as I headed back into my room. I popped open the large black crate. This time, the pile of metals was even massive compared to the first delivery. As long as the silver disc absorbs enough metal, its durability will become so high that not even Yeming will be able to scratch it. Plus, there's a chance it could unlock all kinds of special attributes. Once that happens, defense won't be its only unmatched trait, its combat power will become absolutely terrifying too. After all, I have no intention of just being a fragile summoner with 0 physical strength. A summoner like that has an obvious target on their back. If an enemy targets me directly, they could easily take me out in 100 different ways. About 10 minutes later, the silver disc had completely absorbed all the metals. At this point, it's so incredibly tough that even a Tier 3 warrior couldn't pierce it. On top of that, it now weighs a massive 13 tons. With our strengths amplifying each other, a single punch from me could literally shatter the ground. Right then, my reward of 50,000 academy credits for winning the freshman competition was deposited. After thinking it over for a moment, I spent every last credit, choosing and buying dozens of fruit-type resources. As soon as the delivery arrived, I tore open all the packages. Then, I summoned Yeming to feed him. Almost immediately, I felt waves of pure heat surging through my body, making me stronger. An incredible wave of comfort washed over my entire body, and Yeming's size began to grow. Within a few minutes, he had reached a massive 40 meters. And ever since I promoted to Master Summoner, every single level up has granted me 5 extra strength points. I've completely broken how a summoner class is supposed to work. I went from being a squishy backline class that only relies on mana and hides behind others to a full-on offensive powerhouse. Today is the official first day of school. The 4 of us from our dorm were all assigned to the general class. On our way there, we ran into Luo Ruan and Luo Ning, who were also heading to the same class. The moment we stepped into the classroom, we saw quite a crowd already there. Apparently, everyone was still in total shock. The fact that a single summon had completely crushed everyone was just unheard of. Just then, A pair of incredibly beautiful twins walked in. Luo Ning and Luo Ruan scanned the room for a second, then came over and sat right in front of me. Right on cue, the tall and stunning Jai Fei walked into the classroom. She swept her gaze over everyone and said, "I'm Jai Fei, and I'll be your homeroom teacher. But honestly, if you have any issues, try not to bother me. I'm way too lazy to deal with them." Then, Jai Fei's expression turned stern, her voice dropping to a serious tone. "You're all top-tier geniuses from your own provinces. You worked your tails off to get into this academy. I'm sure you did it to get your hands on better resources. But unfortunately, the Likshu clan has spent decades preparing, and they've already built up a massive, overwhelming advantage. Before long, they'll tear right through our defenses in a single blow." Hearing this, everyone stared at him in utter disbelief. But our society today runs so smoothly. There are even tons of entertainment industries starting to grow and thrive. Even the media keeps saying things are getting better. You can't find a single piece of bad news online. Everything is quiet and stable. And now, they're telling us a massive disaster is about to hit? Seeing how shocked and confused they were, Jai Fei spoke up. "Don't you find it strange that we almost never see fighters above rank 5 in our society? Even in the military protecting an entire province, the strongest among them are only rank 4. Hearing that, the students thought about it and realized he was right. Realistically, while an elite rank 5 fighter might not be common, they shouldn't be so rare that you'd struggle to see even one, whether online or in daily life. Suddenly, a terrifying thought began to take root in their minds. Students graduating from top academies are at least rank 4, and most of them head to the front lines without a second thought. That's why the civilian areas are so peaceful, Jai Fei continued. News like this would cause widespread panic, so naturally, every nation has banned people from sharing this information. Because of that, most civilians have absolutely no idea what's going on. But the real emergency right now is that the mutant beast population is exploding. If we don't keep them in check, the foreign races will find out and launch a full-scale invasion much sooner than we expected. Jeffrey looked around at the students, which is why it's time for us to step up. Every academy is sending their top talents to military bases to help thin out the mutant beast population. Anyone volunteering to head to the military base and join the call operation, stand up. The moment those words left his mouth, the sound of scraping chairs echoed through the classroom. Naturally, I didn't hesitate for a single second. Seeing this, Luoxiang and Luoning stood up right away too. Fighting the mutant beast was inevitable anyway, it was only a matter of time. It just happened sooner than expected. Gradually, only about half the class was left. Seeing this, Jeffrey let out a faint smile. "Having half of you volunteer is already beyond my expectations. Everyone, let's head to the military base." A chubby kid who was still sitting down widened his eyes. "Wait, do we have to go too?" "Exactly. You're all recruits in this class, handpicked as the academy's elite, so of course you're going. The only reason I didn't tell you sooner is because the military wanted to filter out the volunteers first, to mark them for priority observation," Jai Fei said, his face completely expressionless. "If you really can't find the courage, you have a second option. Leave Lark Academy." Of the 20 or so students who were still hesitating, half of them stood up right away. Jai Fei then led the whole group out of Lark Academy. Parked right outside the school gates were dozens of heavy military transport trucks. Soldiers stood waiting with grim expressions. As the students climbed into the trucks, Lark Academy, usually so bustling with life, fell completely silent and empty. Inside the truck, Jai Fei pulled out a folder and announced, "Our destination is the Anduin military base. It's located 900 kilometers from Zhongtian City. Right in front of it is the Beiling mountain range, spanning several 100,000 square kilometers. According to drone scans, just in the outer perimeter alone, there are tens of thousands of mutant beasts ranging from level 10 to level 30. If you go a bit deeper, level 40 to 50 beasts are also everywhere. All you have to worry about is clearing the outer perimeter. Up until now, our frontline forces have relied on advanced tech to hold them off despite being heavily outnumbered. But for some unknown reason, their attacks have recently become far more aggressive. They're hitting our defensive lines day and night, from every single direction. Because of that, the frontline troops won't be able to offer us any support for this sweet mission." 8 or 9 hours later, the military trucks came to a halt, and their heavy steel doors slid open. Soldiers in black combat gear stood lined up, as if they had been waiting for our arrival. They saluted us in perfect unison. The sight stirred something in all of us. Everyone instinctively straightened up, casting aside their casual attitudes. Jai Fei walked over and said, "Everyone, follow me to the mission counter." On our way there, we took in our surroundings. The military base was massive, ringed by heavy artillery turrets. Before long, we arrived at the mission counter. A female soldier waiting for us handed everyone a black smart band. The band looked like the tracking device from the entrance exam, but this one had added mission and map features. There was also a distress signal button. All you had to do was press it, and the military base would instantly be alerted to send a rescue team to your location. At the same time, anyone nearby would get an alert so they could step in and help right away. "Welcome to Xiaowei. I am happy to assist you," For this mutant beast sweep, each student must accept and complete at least one mission today. You have not yet met your daily quota. Please proceed to a mission terminal immediately to accept and complete a task. The smart band beeped. I strode toward the screen showing countless missions and scanned through them. It was probably safer to play it smart and pick a few standard missions requiring Tier 3 power. Suddenly, I felt someone staring at me. I quickly turned around to find Luoxiang and Luoning, who had been following me the whole time, looking at me with puppy dog eyes. Given their level, stepping out into the wild would be suicide. I smiled to myself. I guess I'll have to look out for them to the very end. They nodded eagerly, their eyes filled with deep gratitude. Watching this play out, Feng Yik, who had been about to invite Luoning to team up, froze. A sudden wave of irritation washed over him. He could let the twins slide, but why the hell was he hogging Luoning too? Li Zongfeng, the wild is incredibly dangerous, and accidents can happen in the blink of an eye. Why don't we team up so we can watch each other's backs? Feng Yi turned to Li Zongfeng, putting on a concerned and caring look. Li Zongfeng snaps at him. Get lost. Go look somewhere else. Li Zongfeng gives him a disdainful look, picks his mission, and walks off with a girl from the support class. Chao Yang, we're not done talking yet, but Chao Yang cuts him off right away. You got a hidden combat class, don't you? Stop putting yourself down like that. Go find some reliable people to team up with. Worst case scenario, just call for help. If we're in the area, we'll come retrieve your corpse. Feng suddenly felt a wave of malice surrounding him. Shortly after, I also chose 3 missions, starting with eliminating the rampaging Yeti 200 kilometers away, the giant double-bladed tiger and the giant blood spirit crocodile. The locations of all the mutant beasts are tracked down using micro-drones modified by Formation Masters and engraved with the eye of observation. Their positions are pinpointed through a systematic search. Mutant beasts all have territorial instincts. Normally, they don't wander too far from their dens. For this cleanup operation, the various military bases made all the necessary preparations to make it easier and safer for the students to kill the mutant beasts. Of course, their safety was also taken into account. Anyone heading out on a mission can receive 3 high-power grenades, as well as a large-caliber pistol with 7 armor-piercing rounds. That's enough to wound a level 20 mutant beast. I have 0 confidence in my aim, so I just took the 3 grenades. Besides, my punch is way more powerful than any armor-piercing bullet. I turn around and leave with the other 2. We quickly set off toward the Belliant mountain range. I pull out the silver disc, which immediately transforms into combat armor. Just then, my smart bracelet chimes. Do you need Xiao-O to turn on the flashlight? I instantly reply, yes. A second later, a bright white light illuminates the surroundings for about 10 meters. At the command post, everyone looks grave. Thanks to a nearby micro-drone, they immediately notice that our route is abnormal. If they keep going, they'll enter the territory of mutant beasts level 30 and above. Why aren't they stopping? Check which missions they accepted, orders a man in a brigadier general's uniform. It is Chen Shang, a middle-aged man. The woman monitoring the screens, Wen Yan, exclaims in utter shock after typing rapidly on her console. To kill a level 33 rampaging Yeti, a level 36 giant double-bladed tiger, and a level 39 giant blood spirit crocodile. These are all missions that require a Tier 3 level. The last one even borders on Tier 4 difficulty. Have they gone completely mad? Yang Xiao rubs the bridge of his nose. So he's the strongest freshman at Yongkai Academy this year? He's only level 16. How does he dare accept missions that are 2 full tiers above his level? This is suicide, plain and simple. But geniuses like him, even when they're aware of the threat, who face danger without hesitation, usually don't betray humanity. Even if he's a bit of a hothead, we can't just let him throw his life away. He immediately dispatched orders, deploy 4 gunships to the area. If they're in danger, initiate emergency extraction immediately. Yang Xiao let out a long sigh. Compared to the others, our Handuan base is really going to be dead weight this time. Suddenly, his smart bracelet beeped an alert. Warning, you are entering the habitat of the target, the rampaging black ape. The very second that voice rang out, a giant serpent suddenly lunged from the forest. Its body was easily 4 meters in diameter, and its length stretched dozens of meters. Opening its terrifying maw, it bared razor-sharp fangs and lunged at me. Its massive maw was about to swallow me whole. I spun around in a flash. I grabbed its fangs with both hands and pulled with all my might. With my superhuman strength, amplified by titanic strength, the serpent's fangs snapped clean off. Blood sprayed everywhere. The pain made it recoil, but I didn't give it a single second to breathe. The ground caved in beneath my feet. In an instant, I shot right in front of the giant serpent. With just one punch, its spine instantly fractured and shattered into pieces. The giant serpent let out a pitiful hiss, cold terror filling its eyes. It immediately tried to slither away, but I grabbed it and held it down. I slowly dragged it back toward me. Terrified, the serpent thrashed frantically. The ground shook from its struggles, but it was completely useless. My fist slammed directly onto its head. The serpent's flesh and blood exploded, its skull collapsing and shattering completely. Then, I grabbed its lower jaw with both hands and ripped it in half. The sheer brutality of the scene left Lu Xiang and Lu Ning trembling in pure terror. Meanwhile, back at the command center where they had witnessed everything, there was dead silence. Everyone's eyes were filled with utter shock. This is absolutely insane. He's only level 16, right? How did he defeat a level 29 giant python? What kind of monster is he? Yang Xiao lowered his head in silence, staring at the file in his hand over and over. It clearly states right here that his class is Summoner. And yet, suddenly, a roar erupted from the screen and echoed through the room. Everyone's faces instantly tensed up. A colossal, muscular ape 50 meters tall lunged from the mountainside. Apparently awakened by the din of battle, it was charging furiously in their direction. The officer went pale. Oh no, it's the rampaging black ape. How did it level up to level 34? For a mutant beast, every 10 levels brings a massive evolution. This thing could also kill that giant python in just a few strikes. Yang Xiao shook his head, not feeling optimistic either. In all of humanity, very few can overcome such a massive power gap. His hand was already on the radio. If things went south, he would immediately send the 4 combat gunships for backup. Before I even had a chance to collect my loot, a colossal black shadow with a ferocious, bloodthirsty face plunged from the sky. The black ape's palms clenched into massive fists, slamming down toward me. I didn't feel a shred of fear. I draw my blade and strike. The strike lands square on its incredibly hard armor, sending a shockwave rippling through the air. But I'm completely unscathed. All of the damage was absorbed by the silver disc. The black ape roars again, its body suddenly ballooning in size. It quickly reaches 70 meters tall. Then, as if swatting a fly, its massive palm crashes down toward me, but in an instant, I appear right above its head. My blade swings down violently as I activate point-blank strike. This skill, originally meant just for survival, is now my perfect tool for positioning. A devastating strike, flashing like a brilliant fluorescent glow. In an instant, the blade slices the back of its skull, but it only leaves a gash half a meter deep. Howling in pain, the black ape pivots its massive body, swinging its palms frantically. But I dodge every single blow. I step right in front of him. My blade strikes the exact same spot over and over. The black ape immediately raises his foot and stomps down with sheer violence. The ground shakes violently as a massive cloud of dust explodes in all directions. But by then, I had already reappeared more than 10 meters away. Looks like a powerful punch and a sharp blade aren't enough to seriously wound him. I've hit my limit. Realizing this, I don't waste another second. In an instant, a sharp sword hovering between reality and illusion appears in my hand. Its blade is etched with countless indecipherable white runes, mysterious and ancient. I feel all my spiritual energy drain in a single breath. My head grows heavy. This is your big debut. Show me what you can do. Slowly, I raise my hand. Instantly, the black ape's hair stands on end. A terrifying threat floods his mind, as if some invisible horror is closing in on him. He realizes the threat is coming from this mere ant. The black ape immediately lunges forward, wanting to end this quickly, but my hand has already come down. The spirit sword pierces right through the black ape's body in a flash, without warning. His gigantic body collapses with a heavy thud. A gust of wind sweeps away the settling dust. His physical body is still breathing, but his soul has already been wiped out. I killed him instantly. I withdraw my spirit blade. Fortunately, the raw, ferocious power of the enraged black ape and the heavy aura he emitted kept all the other mutant beasts at bay, and the fight was over in a flash. Seeing this, the armed air support in the distance, the helicopters slowly turn around and head back. Complete silence fills the command center. Everyone stares at the screen in a daze, unable to comprehend what just happened. Yang Xiao thinks for a moment, and realization hits him. That must be a mental type attack skill. Those kinds of techniques are incredibly rare. But what truly shocks him is my own terrifying combat power. To overcome an 18-level gap and face the enraged black ape without taking a single scratch. And the most important thing, this doesn't seem like a temporary burst skill, but his base combat power. That's what's truly terrifying. Only a monster could cross an entire rank like that. When others defeat higher-ranked enemies, they always rely on temporary power surges or ultimate moves. It isn't a constant state. Even if both methods can bridge a massive power gap, the difference between them is like night and day. If he can constantly maintain this level of power and overpower opponents 2 ranks higher, he'll become a living nightmare for the enemy races on the front lines. Just thinking about it makes Yang Xiao's heart race. Overjoyed, Yang Xiao storms out of the command post. He slips into a small, secluded room, locks the door, and activates multiple secret barrier seals. Then, he carefully pulls out a communicator. Zhang, the Endue military base has just discovered an absolute monster. He is far too strong, and with me being heavily injured, I'm afraid I won't be able to protect him. After waiting for about half an hour, a voice crackles through. Explain. Just how strong is he? Yang Xiao hesitates for a moment. Even if you and I teamed up, he'd bury our heads in the dirt. Complete silence follows. Unbelievable. If that's the case, I'm afraid all of humanity won't be able to protect him. The enemy clans will eventually assassinate him. Yang Xiao smiled helplessly. He could crush me with one hand, but against Yu Zhang, it might be a different story. Hearing this, the voice immediately replies, understood. I'll discuss this with the other kings right away. Meanwhile, Liu Xiong is staring at the massive corpse of He Yuan. He exclaims in pure excitement, you didn't even need He Ming to defeat a level 34 mutant beast. He adds, you are seriously too strong. I just smile. With a simple thought, I summon the 40-meter-tall He Ming and order him to devour the two mutant beast corpses. My evolution gauge ticks up by 0.2 points. Still, I'm a long way from the 1,200 points I need. After thinking for a moment, I take the few life crystals I harvested from the mutant beasts I killed earlier and toss them all into the black flames. Each life crystal gives me at least 1 point. My eyes light up. This is it. I've finally found a way to rapidly level up my evolution gauge. With that, my two companions and I push even deeper. Half an hour later, a giant tiger over 30 meters tall with long, razor-sharp fangs charges right at us. But before it can even reach us, He Ming's overwhelming presence freezes the beast dead in its tracks. Suddenly, the ground explodes. He Ming appears in front of the giant tiger in a flash, slamming his massive palm down. Blasted by sheer, terrifying force, the giant tiger is sent flying through the air. The impact is so violent that the tiger crashes through several massive trees, snapping them in half. 4 gruesome gashes tear open across its face, pouring blood. But before it can even recover from the excruciating pain, He Ming is already standing over it again. The tiger desperately wants to run, but it's far too slow to match He Ming's speed. In barely 10 seconds, the giant tiger is completely consumed by the black flames. This display of brutal, overwhelming violence sends a chill down the spines of the observers in the command center. Those vertical pupils, even viewed through a screen, give them cold sweats. They feel as if death itself could claim them at any moment. Yang Xiaohu smiles bitterly, feeling the new generation completely washing away the old. The three of us, along with the beast, continue our way up the mountain. An hour later, we reach an area teeming with level 30 and higher mutant beasts. But thanks to He Ming's terrifying aura, not a single one dares to come near us. That's when a giant crocodile, over 100 meters long and covered in blood-red scales, suddenly snaps open its scarlet, vertical pupils, releasing an aura of terrifying ferocity. It's a clear warning to the intruders who dared step onto its territory. He Ming immediately bares his fangs. A devastating aura of pure destruction erupts from his body, projecting a power far more menacing than the giant crocodiles. In the next instant, his body expands explosively, reaching nearly 300 meters in length. Feeling overwhelmed by this invisible pressure, the giant crocodile flies into a blind rage. Every step it takes shakes the earth. He Ming's body began to unleash stretching claws of black flame, carving dark trails in the air, while across his skin and fur, a golden aura slowly rose, radiating unwavering determination. The giant crocodile snapped open its massive jaws, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth. But even as it bit down on the golden light, its jaws wouldn't close. He Ming stared at the beast coldly. He raised his paw and slammed it down with brutal force. Instantly, countless red scales were ripped away, leaving behind a bloody, mangled mess. Right then, the giant crocodile roared in pure fury, swinging its long, heavy tail. A crimson glow swirled around it, unleashing a terrifying power that whipped up a violent gale, hurtling straight toward He Ming. The impact tore 4 deep gouges into the ground. He Ming barely managed to hold his ground, but the monster didn't give him a second to breathe. Lunging forward, it clamped its jaws onto He Ming, dragging him down into the deep lake behind them. A massive geyser of water erupted. Beneath the surface, the two colossal beasts tore into each other in a frenzied clash. The clear lake water turned completely murky, but the black flames wrapping He Ming didn't fade for a second. If anything, the temperature of the surrounding water just kept boiling hotter and hotter. Even with the home field advantage, the giant crocodile was completely overpowered. No matter how much it pushed its strength skill to make that bloody light swirl, it couldn't scratch him. Within just a few minutes, the water level of the massive lake plummeted by almost half. Then, suddenly, the surface exploded. A massive black wolf surged out of the lake. His colossal 300-meter frame felt overwhelmingly heavy. Combined with the menacing aura wrapping around him, it made anyone who looked at him shake with fear. Even though He Ming didn't attack them, Lu Xuechen and Lu Hongyi couldn't shake the sheer terror gripping their hearts. Back at the command post, everyone watching through the monitors felt the exact same dread. As for the crocodile, it had been devoured down to the very last bone. Just then, Xiao's voice crackled through his wristband. Mission successfully cleared. You may return to the military base's checkpoint to turn it in. By the time the three of them made it back to the Jiangnan base, it was already 1 in the morning. I headed straight to the reception desk and found a female officer to hand in the quest. Looking at me in absolute disbelief, she asked, You actually finished it?" I nodded and pulled up Xiao's recording as proof. It took her a moment to process before she finally found her voice. "That's a total of 200 contribution points. Since you went as a team, how would you like to split them?" I had the officer transfer the shares to the other two just as we'd agreed. I glanced over at Lu Shueqin and Lu Hongyi. Tagging along with me wasn't doing them any favors, and it certainly wasn't helping them grow. I figured it was about time to find them a team that actually fit their level. Shortly after I walked away, a massive line of text flashed across the main board at the checkpoint. Jiangnan Academy, first-year student, level 16 summoner, 100 contribution points, rank 1245th. And it wasn't just at the Jiangnan base. At every single military base housing the various academies, that exact same update went live. Instantly, a wave of shock swept through the crowd of students gathered around the boards. Who the hell is this guy? How did he pull off 100 contribution points in one go? He must have cleared at least 2 Tier 3 missions, right? I'm a freshman too, and my points are barely in the double digits. We're all struggling out here. Personally, I only dare touch Tier 1 quests. Those mutated beasts are just too brutal. Even when I have the level advantage, I still get totally wrecked. Right now, even most sophomores and juniors only had a few dozen points to their name. Any freshman with more than 10 points was a rare breed. What blew everyone's mind, though, was that this guy was only level 16. He was just a freshman, yet he'd bypassed 2 whole tiers to take down 2 mutated beasts well over level 30. Over at the Luoxing base, Feng Yi was in the middle of planning how to take down a level 60 giant beast on the outskirts when a sudden update on the leaderboard caught his eye. He froze, completely stunned. How? How is this possible? Hearing his gasp, several other instructors turned to look. Hey, old Feng, you know this kid? A freshman pulling in 100 points on day 1? That's insane, isn't it? Feng Yi nodded slowly, a heavy sigh escaping him. That's him. The recruit I told you about, the one that got away. Back then, Jiang Nan pulled out all the stops to get him. Otherwise, he probably would have been one of our top students right now. Hearing that, the other instructors finally understood. Ah, so he was the winter term's top recruit. But another instructor quickly shook his head. He's probably carried by some upperclassmen. There's no way he pulled off 100 points on his own. Sure, it looks good on paper, but we shouldn't encourage this kind of behavior. The point of this clearing operation isn't just to stop a beast tide. It's to help them grow stronger through real combat. Exactly. Things are getting desperate out there, so building real strength should be their top priority. Chasing high ranks by taking shortcuts is pointless. The instructors shook their heads in disapproval. Feng Yi let out a heavy sigh too. He'd initially held such high hopes for me, but now, a flicker of disappointment crossed his face. Just then, he looked over at a young man dressed in black standing nearby and smiled. Xiao Yingshu, did you finish your mission? Hearing his name, Xiao Yingshu walked over. Yes, Instructor Feng. I cleared out 2 level 27 mutated beasts. I actually would have been back much sooner, but I ran into a level 33 heavy armored monster on the way. It took some real effort to put it down. Xiao Yingshu spoke in a flat, casual tone, as if it were no big deal. Feng Yi's mouth twitched slightly, genuinely blown away. Incredible. Taking down a level 33 beast at level 17 is no small feat. Your year is packed with endless monsters. A smug smirk played on the corner of Xiao Yingshu's lips, his face oozing absolute confidence. Don't worry, instructor. It might be the era of prodigies, but I am invincible. I will crush anyone who stands in my way and claim the throne of humanity. Xiao Yingshu sneaked a glance at the instructors only to find them holding their faces, speechless. Suddenly, his eyes drifted to the leaderboard on the giant screen, and his face instantly froze. Inside his head, alarm bells went off. No way. That's absolutely impossible. How could anyone be stronger than me? 100 contribution points. Even with that armored lizard I slaughtered, my score isn't anywhere near that. Noticing Xiao Yingshu sinking into a full-blown identity crisis, Feng Yi coughed awkwardly and spoke up. Actually, we were just talking about that. It's probably just the result of a mission he did with an upperclassman. Don't worry about it. Xiao Yingshu let out a sigh of relief. But any pride he felt from finishing his second promotion mission was completely gone. He quickly said goodbye to Feng Li and headed off with grim determination toward the mountain range shrouded in darkness. At the same time, I went back to the dorms and grabbed some barbecue with my roommates. I also asked them to take care of Luo Xiang and Luo Ning and look after them as teammates. At 9 p.m., I headed to the mission hall and picked 2 difficult-level missions that required a 4th promotion. Right after I entered the mountain range, an officer immediately called out to Yang Xiao. He actually took on difficult missions meant for the 4th promotion. Hearing that, Yang Xiao gasped. Jumping a whole rank wasn't enough for him. This kid wants to skip 3 ranks at once. The fourth metamorphosis corresponds to level 40 and higher mutant beasts. That's a massive milestone. Even if a gunship dumped all its ammo, it wouldn't even scratch the skin of a level 40 mutant beast. Notify the instructors at Yankee Academy. Have one of them keep an eye on him. I'm worried something might happen to Shen Lin. The officer immediately set out to do so. The news was quickly transmitted via smart bracelets to the instructors stationed at the Hengduan base. The three Yankee instructors immediately consulted each other upon receiving the message. In the end, they decided to send Jiang Wuyu. If Shen Lin activated his distress signal, he would be able to receive help immediately. At that very moment, amidst countless giant trees and vines, a colossal black wolf was racing at full speed. In barely 1 hour, it reached its target, a massive, three-headed snake of level 44. It hissed a warning. I silently reached out my hand. A mysterious, transparent sword over 1 meter long materialized. As I slowly raised my hand to strike, the three-headed snake was suddenly gripped by terror, instinctively sensing the chilling aura of death. The next second, the left head shrieked in agonizing pain. It slumped lifelessly onto the rock. The other two heads nudged it frantically. Realizing it was dead, panic took over. That was when I ordered Yeming to attack. On my command, Yeming let out a ferocious roar, his size ballooning to nearly 300 meters, with pitch-black flames erupting from his entire body. Sensing this terrifying, savage power, the three-headed snake snapped its jaws open and spat a deadly purple venom. Yeming charged straight ahead, baring his fangs and bit the middle head directly. He dragged it to the ground, and while wrestling, went after the other head. Seeing its companion being savagely torn apart, the head roared, bared its fangs, and bit back viciously. A golden light pierced into Yeming's flesh, and in an instant, the poison spread through his bloodstream to his organs. But thanks to his evolved constitution, Yeming was able to resist the corrosive venom. A black shroud of light enveloped him, and with a heavy swipe of his paw, he tore himself free from the biting head. That was when I drew the heavenly sword. My figure vanished in a flash, suddenly reappearing right in front of the three-headed snake. The heavenly sword plunged violently into its eye. In excruciating pain, the head let out a terrible shriek. At that same moment, a claw cloaked in black flames slammed down, pinning it violently to the ground, but its tail, over 30 meters wide, suddenly whipped up. It came sweeping toward me with a deafening whistle. I immediately raised my sword to block, but the impact sent me crashing into the ground like a missile. Seeing this, Yeming flew into a dark rage. His claws, bathed in black light, tore through the air as he lunged fiercely at the snake. Its incredibly tough skin was now as fragile as paper, torn open with gaping wounds several meters deep. Yeming instantly spun around and sank his fangs into the neck of the other head. He pulled with all his might, trying to rip it clean off. The two beasts, each several hundred meters long, grappled intensely with one another. The earth shattered beneath their feet as giant trees collapsed. I stood back up from the cloud of dust, completely unharmed. Yeming's defense is as reliable as ever. Watching the two giant beasts tear into each other with growing madness, I sat down on a nearby rock. All I had to do now was wait for Yeming to slowly finish it off. Just then, a slender figure in white combat armor approached silently from not far away. But I instantly gripped my saber, and the silver gleam of the blade flashed in an instant. However, I was quickly surprised. At the sight, Jiang Wuyu nodded, looking somewhat astonished. The force transmitted through my blade was so immense that even he, a level 59 fighter, had to exert himself a bit to parry it. "Instructor, what are you doing here?" Faced with my question, Jiang Wuyu kept a poker face. He discreetly withdrew his slightly trembling hand and replied in a casual tone. "I heard a lot of noise over here, so I came to take a look." Right at that moment, a massive tail over 30 meters long suddenly crashed down from the sky. Boom! The earth shook and dust filled the air, while a ferocious roar echoed for miles. Yeming stood atop the corpse of the three-headed snake as black flames greedily devoured it, converting it into energy and evolution points. With a size exceeding 300 meters, he looked like a true harbinger of the apocalypse. Jiang Wuyu watched the scene, completely dumbfounded. Even from such a distance, that aura of absolute violence, which felt like it wanted to devour all life, gave him goosebumps. Meanwhile, back at the command center, everyone was in an absolute frenzy. He skipped 3 major ranks. With a gap of 22 levels, he actually pulled it off. My god, how can his combat power be this mind-blowing? I feel like he's even stronger than that prodigy with the triple S-rank talent. Yang Xiao was visibly shaking with excitement. Countless serpents of black fire drifted through the air before merging into Yeming's body. His size quickly shrank down, and he came to lie down by my side to rest. Jiang Wuyu asked if I was all right before taking his leave. After checking the route on the map, I climbed onto Yeming and we set off again. By devouring the three-headed snake and its life crystal, Yeming's size directly increased by 1 meter, and he gained 10 evolution points. At this rate, in just 4 or 5 days, Yeming will be able to evolve again. And with that evolution, his life essence will reach the high-tier summon level, and his talent will be promoted to the extreme rank. His combat power will undoubtedly become even more terrifying. Just then, a massive racket echoed in the distance. Along with a series of roars, a wild bull burst onto the scene. Its body was covered in thick, hard scales, and its two horns were over 30 meters long. The ground completely cracked under its hooves. The second objective of the mission was the Iron Horned Bull, a level 45 beast. Seeing this, I didn't hesitate for a second and immediately cast a buff spell. Heming roared, and his size grew massively. Black flames erupted as a golden light radiated from him. In just an instant, he unleashed his full power. At that exact moment, the two sharp horns of the Iron Horned Bull slammed right into Heming. He raised his front paws to block the blow. Under the terrifying force of the impact, Heming was sent flying back at an insane speed, tearing a deep trench into the ground. In the blink of an eye, the two giants had already traveled several kilometers. The drone in the sky had to speed up just to keep up with them. Right then, back at the command center, Yang Xiao immediately issued an order. Tell all the cadets in their path to clear out immediately. Shen Lin's summon isn't going to hold back, and it won't watch out for them. Hearing this, the officer got to work right away. Heming bared his claws, which began to glow with a dark aura. With a massive surge of strength, he flipped the Iron Horned Bull over. Its massive body crashed to the ground in a cloud of dust. At the same time, a team of 2 men and 3 women was running for their lives. After a few hundred meters, they looked back at the scene, completely dumbfounded. So that's why HQ ordered us to clear out. Good thing we hustled, or we'd be dead by now. Wait, one of them is level 45. But how can the other one only be level 16? Damn it, don't tell me that monster is only level 16. The 5 of them couldn't believe their eyes. A nearby female instructor noticed the commotion and was about to step in, but Jang Woo-hyuk suddenly appeared without a sound. He stepped in front of her. Don't get involved. That's a summon from one of my first-year students at Yunki. Hearing this, the instructor was stunned, her face showing absolute shock. A first year? You've got to be kidding me, right? Seeing her reaction, a faint smile played on Jang Woo-hyuk's lips. He said calmly, no, he really is a standout in this class. The instructor looked completely dazed. That's way beyond just standout. He's a monster, a literal prodigy. A 4th awakening in their first year? I've never heard of anyone progressing that fast. So this is the kind of talent the Federation's top academies produce. The instructor's expression was a mix of complicated emotions. Is he your student? Jang Woo-hyuk's expression stiffened slightly, and he cleared his throat. Well, you could say that. He and Jitae are childhood friends. His student is basically my student, so it makes total sense. Hearing this, the instructor couldn't help but look a bit envious. Half an hour later, Heming finally finished devouring the wild Iron-horned bull. Heming scanned the surroundings. Seeing no sign of his master, he turned back immediately. Not long after, he found me being chased by a toad that was over 50 meters tall. He instantly flew into a wild rage. Blurring forward in the blink of an eye, he brought down a devastating paw strike, instantly killing the level 36 mutant beast. Seeing that, I let out a sigh of relief. After casting a healing spell and resting for half an hour, the beast and I set off again. We were looking to hunt mutant beasts that were level 40 or higher. Even though we had completed 2 missions, I chose not to go back to the collection point to turn them in. Making a round trip would have taken too much time. I didn't care if I missed out on a few contribution points. The absolute priority was evolving Heming as fast as possible. And after that, reaching level 20 to enter the reincarnation dungeon. Ever since I realized how precarious humanity's situation really is, I've felt this strange sense of urgency. In the dead of night, roars shook the mountains. Heming's body was wrapped in a terrifying aura. At his feet lay level 42 mutant beasts. Dark flames devoured their corpses, constantly converting them to fuse with Heming's body. I was breathing heavily, my mental energy completely drained. I couldn't even keep up a healing spell anymore. My mind was incredibly weak, and my physical stamina was pretty much gone too. My entire body was aching and numb. Just a moment ago, I had to use my own body to shield Heming from another mutant beast. We almost died, but the payoff was totally worth it. In just a single day, we killed mutant beasts ranging from level 15 to over level 40. Heming's normal size has reached 58 meters. All his stats went up by 58 points, easily breaking past 300. If we had to fight that wild iron-horned bull again right now, we could wrap things up in about 10 minutes. As for these 2 level 42 beasts next to us, it was an absolute landslide victory. His evolution value also went up by 195 points. He only needs 120 more points for his next evolution. Seeing me return to the Anduin base, everyone let out a sigh of relief. One officer swallowed hard, unable to hold back a gasp. This is terrifying. In a single day, he killed 15 mutant beasts at level 40 or above. Converted to contribution points, that must be over 2,000, right? Right now, at our Anduin base, The student with the highest contribution score only has 700 points. And get this, he's also from Yunqi Academy. Sikong, a model fourth-year student who was the Winter Award winner 3 years ago. What about the other bases? Yang Xiao asked. The officer's fingers flew across the screen as he quickly replied. In Luoxiang, where Belong and several other academies are stationed, the highest cadet score is 1,000 contribution points. Next is Yingxian Academy in the south, with 890 points. Then Qingtian Academy in the west, with 850, for this mutant beast cleanup operation. Over 100 academies are participating, spread across 10 military bases. We are starting with the largest mountain range, the one with the highest concentration of mutant beasts. After that, we'll clear out the surrounding areas. The operation will likely last several months, maybe even longer, until the mutant beast population is reduced to a point where they no longer pose a threat to the cities. How did the gap get this wide? It's not just the top score that is completely out of league. The Luoxiang base is also way ahead in overall clearing progress. Yang Xiaohu frowned. The officer continued, Balin Academy always ranks near the top every year. Naturally, most people prefer to enroll there. And this year, with so many prodigies and genius warriors emerging, you can imagine how fierce the competition is. Everyone is giving it their all. No one wants to be left behind. But that's a good thing. The faster they clear, the sooner they'll be freed up to help the other bases that are falling behind. Aside from our 5 bases, which are managed by top-tier academies, the situation for the other 13 is deeply concerning. The number of level 20-plus mutated beasts has barely decreased. Yang Xiaohu shook his head. That's why we need to hurry, to try and support the other bases as soon as possible. By the time I arrived at the district assembly point, it was already 2:30. The streets were still brightly lit. Many cadets were using the mutated beasts brought back by their armored vehicles to host outdoor barbecues. After submitting my mission, my ranking skyrocketed, going from 1,245th place all the way to 10th. I didn't really care, though. I just turned around and headed back to my dorm. The moment I opened the door, Feng Ye rushed over. He stared at me like I was some kind of monster. Spill the truth. Shen Lin, are you a mutated beast disguised as a human or what? A power jump like that is absolutely insane. I just smiled, saying nothing, and sat down on a chair. Right now, the Academy's public forum is in absolute chaos, Feng Ye said, sitting down next to me. Everyone is so shocked that they think some senior is secretly boosting you, and they're strongly condemning that kind of behavior. Before, when you completed that third-rank mission and got 100 contribution points directly, there was still a tiny bit of doubt. But now, almost everyone suspects you. They think it's way too fishy. Oh, and now, Senior King Kong is in deep trouble. He's the prime suspect. A lot of people are pointing fingers at him. Why? I asked, curious. Right then, a friend request popped up on my smart band. It was King Kong, the senior who was being falsely accused of boosting my score. I accepted it immediately. And the very second I accepted, King Kong sent me a single message. Tomorrow, the level 50, 2 Onyx Giant. Are you interested? Reading King Kong's message, I replied, I only need the life crystal and the giant rock. The dragon's corpse and the contribution points are all yours. After agreeing on a meeting place and time, I headed to the base's main gate the next day. King Kong immediately waved me over. Next to him, a girl with a graceful figure looked up, her eyes lighting up. She spoke first. Hi, I'm Yi Kexi, and this other guy is Wang Yao. I nodded, and the 4 of us piled into the armored vehicle, heading deep into the mountains. On the way, King Kong explained, the Onyx Giant carries a trace of the royal lineage. We don't know what its talents are, so we'll have to be extremely careful. When the time comes, Wang Yao and I will lead the attack. Yi Kexi, you'll handle buffs and healing from a distance. Shen Lin, what's the combat strength of your summon? I replied calmly. Going toe-to-toe with the Onyx Giant won't be a problem. Hearing this, the eyes of the other 3 lit up. They felt they had made the right choice in picking me. Honestly, if my combat strength had barely reached that of a level 40 mutated beast, I would have been completely useless in this fight. But seeing me so confident, they were finally put at ease. After traveling 200 kilometers in the armored vehicle, everyone got out. King Kong stopped, then turned around and said, this is where the Onyx Giant is nesting. I'll go lure it out. Everyone, get ready, I said calmly. No need. Then, with a simple flick of my thoughts, a massive 58-meter black wolf appeared. A tyrannical aura instantly exploded. Its fierce roar echoed for miles, sending countless terrified mutated beasts fleeing in all directions. Seeing this, my 3 companions were completely dumbfounded. In response to the roar, deep inside a cave, a pair of yellow eyes, huge as lanterns, suddenly snapped open. In an instant, a terrifying aura erupted. Accompanied by a domineering roar that pierced the heavens, the Onyx Giant made its grand entrance. Every single step it took made the ground shake violently. Seeing its colossal body of over 500 meters, completely covered in rock-hard scales, and the suffocating aura surrounding it, their hearts sank. The expressions of King Kong and the other two turned grave. They realized they had seriously underestimated it. Yet, my face remained completely expressionless. I communicated with Yeming through my mind. He instantly grew into a colossal beast of nearly 500 meters. Black flames and golden lightning surged from him, making his aura even more terrifying. This sight deeply shocked my companions. Looking at us, the Onyx Giant's gaze was filled with pure disdain. It could sense that this beast's life level was lower than its own. Only those black flames posed a slight threat. Just then, Yeming flashed a look of sheer defiance. The Onyx Giant instantly flew into a wild rage. It slammed its front paws violently onto the ground, causing dozens of sharp, massive stone pillars to erupt from the earth, charging straight toward Yeming. Yeming didn't budge, standing tall in front of the four of us. With his indestructible body, he blocked the attack head-on, then shattered the stone pillars with a single swipe of his black light-shrouded claws. The Onyx Giant was already charging with a roar, its massive, 100-meter-plus paws swinging down violently, ripping through the air. Yeming quickly dodged to the side and lashed out with his own claws, but he only managed to scratch a thin layer of its scales. The Onyx Giant then spun around and struck at Yeming. This time, it had infused its innate power, causing a bright yellow light to shine intensely. In an instant, the weight of its paw multiplied to a terrifying degree, slamming down like a mountain. The force was so immense that even the air itself seemed to explode. The golden light protecting Yeming didn't last long before shattering. He was blown back dozens of meters before finally managing to halt his retreat. Seeing the battle erupt in the blink of an eye, King Kong immediately shouted, "Kexi, cast group buffs right now, and focus all single-target buffs on Shen Lin's summon." He was highly decisive. He knew the Onyx Giant was far stronger than he had imagined. A level 50 mutated beast, especially one from a royal bloodline, was simply not something they could hope to defeat while being at a lower level. Even a fight at the exact same level would have been insanely hard, but at the same time, he was completely blown away. How could a level 16 summon actually hold its ground against a level 52 mutant beast? A gap of 36 levels. This kind of power is just terrifying. Kexi nodded immediately. A brilliant golden glow burst from her body. 4 martial light seals appeared under the feet of the 3 humans, and Yeming, surging an endless flow of power into them. Then, a wave of auras enveloped Yeming, and his 4 core attributes skyrocketed in an instant. Watching this happen, Kexi was left utterly speechless. If her buffs had been cast on King Kong, they would have easily doubled his power. But on this summon, the effect was barely noticeable. Just how terrifyingly strong is he? Still, Kexi didn't stop there. With a single thought, she unleashed her innate power, the protection of the heavenly law goddess. After a quick chant, a massive 2-handed sword materialized out of thin air. A goddess, looking down on the world with cold indifference, slowly materialized above the giant black wolf. The moment she opened her eyes, a suffocating, destructive pressure crashed down. Right then, I also quietly slipped in a buffing spell of my own. With all these buffs stacking up, Yeming's stats shot straight up to 2,000. The surging magic made his black flames burn even hotter. Even from 100 meters away, King Kong and the other 2 could feel the blistering heat. As his magic power surged, the black flames blazed even hotter. Even from 100 meters away, King Kong and the other 2 could feel that terrifying heat. Such a drastic shift made all of their faces grow incredibly grim. The beasts suddenly whipped around to face them as Yeming flew into a blind rage. King Kong's face tightened. Unsheathing his massive battleship greatsword, he immediately activated his talent Ultimate Transcendence. The ground beneath his feet exploded. Like a flash of lightning, his silhouette appeared right above Yeming's head, and in the blink of an eye, he struck more than 10 times. But his blood-red weapon felt as if it were striking solid stone, unable to even scratch the beast's defense. To Yeming, it didn't even tickle. King Kong didn't dare to push his luck and immediately retreated, but just as he was backing away from its head, Yeming suddenly roared toward the heavens. The next instant, a yellow aura exploded outward, expanding for 100 meters to form a massive force field. An overwhelming gravity slammed down on King Kong, crashing him violently into the dirt. Struggling to get back up, King Kong looked up, only to see a giant claw casting a massive shadow as it lunged straight down at him. Kexi's face grew pale with horror. He instantly unleashed all of his defensive techniques, but the barrier he erected was as fragile as paper, shattering in less than 1 second. Despair washed over King Kong. Ignoring the agonizing pain of his tearing muscles, he tried to escape. Just as the giant claw was about to crush him, a dark shadow lunged forward to protect them. The sheer force of the impact violently knocked Yeming back. The shockwave created by the clash was like a raging hurricane. Seeing the massive black wolf standing protectively in front of him, King Kong's eyes filled with deep gratitude. He quickly backed away from the crater to return to his original position. King Kong forced a bitter smile. I never expected Zhu Yinlong to possess a second talent. His combat power might be even higher than a level 55 mutant beast. We're completely useless now, and to think you were worried about my reliability. Yet the tables turned in just 2 moves. If it wasn't for Heming, I'd be dead for sure. Just then, the yellow force field expanded once again. Under that terrifying gravity, Heming was violently pinned down. King Kong worriedly asked, "Can he really win?" Yikexi gritted his teeth. Beads of sweat rolled down his cheeks as he poured all of his strength into maintaining Heming's buffs and healing. "If this doesn't work, we all need to retreat and abandon this mission." His face remained expressionless as he said, "Fall back 1 kilometer." Heming is about to unleash his full power. The 3 of them were completely stunned. So that wasn't even his full power yet. They only froze for a split second before turning on their heels and fleeing without a moment's hesitation. 30 seconds later, from 1 kilometer away, the 3 of them turned around. Suddenly, an unimaginably ferocious roar echoed between heaven and earth as terrifying black flames violently exploded. Within a radius of 3 kilometers, his devastating power reached its absolute peak. For several kilometers, it looked as if an apocalyptic mist had risen. A fierce spectral shadow 1,700 meters tall slowly began to condense. It radiated a terrifying aura, as if it wanted to devour everything in its path. The faces of the 3 companions turned pale, and a deep, primal fear took root in their hearts. As for Yikexi, his legs buckled beneath him, leaving him completely unable to stand. He could feel that the goddess of heavenly law protecting Heming was being literally pulverized by this sheer force. To him, the shock was as devastating as seeing the god he believed in get annihilated with a single slap. At the exact same moment, Zhu Yinlong's eyes betrayed absolute horror. Trapped in the black flames, the scales on his body began melting away layer by layer. The yellow aura escaping his body was instantly devoured, and his gravity field was completely neutralized. Looking up, he saw Heming wearing that mocking smirk once again. Consumed by rage, the beast let out a roar and charged, its giant claw tearing through the air. A blend of black flames and yellow auras swept downward. Heming didn't budge an inch. Raising its elbow, which was shrouded in a mass of terrifying flames, the spectral shadows struck with lightning speed, the collision triggering a massive black and yellow shockwave. A thunderous boom echoed in all directions. Zhu Yinlong suddenly felt an excruciating pain in his palm. His formidable defense was pierced right through by the flaming palm. As the terrifying heat slowly consumed his life force, panic finally seized him. Unleashing his talent at full power, he whipped around, his 100-meter tail whistling as it swept through the air. Heming leaped lightly to dodge the attack, landing right in front of Zhu Yinlong. The mighty palm slammed down, and Zhu Yinlong let out a desperate howl. Having always relied on his fearsome defense to dominate, he had almost never been injured before. But now, he was on the brink of death. Although his defense and strength were immense, his speed was slow and his movements were clumsy. This was a stark contrast to Heming, who could use the spectral shadow's extended reach to keep him at a distance and constantly harass him, leaving the beast to stomp around in a helpless, blind rage. After half an hour of combat, Zhu Yinlong could barely stand on his 4 legs, his life force on the verge of fading completely. Terror filled the beast's eyes. Heming, however, remained expressionless. In his eyes, only greed could be read as the black flames boiled and surged. He struck with his claw to deliver the final blow. Zhu Yinlong struggled, refusing to accept defeat. His massive body collapsed heavily, instantly consumed by the black flames. At that moment, a drone quickly flew over the area, and everyone at the command center witnessed the apocalyptic scene on the ground. Without exception, everyone was in absolute shock. Yang Xiao's eyes locked onto the towering black wolf. Seeing no trace of Zhu Yinlong left, he immediately understood the outcome of the battle. He took a deep breath, marveling, just how many more surprises does this guy have in store for me? The first time, he broke through 2 major realms, the absolute human limit. Then, he surpassed the 3-headed Reaper by 3 realms. And now, he has defeated a level 52 royal tier mutant beast with only level 16 strength. A difference of 4 major realms. Yang Xiao was 100% certain that the Yi clan's target was Shen Lin. He sneered. Good, very good. This net meant to catch a big fish must be made even stronger. Tomorrow, take the recording of the battle where Shen Lin killed the 3-headed Reaper and post it on the Academy's public forum. Let everyone see what kind of monster Ardaxia has produced. Excitement washed over everyone's faces as King Kong and the other 2 made their way back to where they had started. Yikexi said with admiration, Shen Lin, Jr., your summon is absolutely terrifying. Wang Yao and King Kong nodded in agreement. King Kong added, in the other academies, everyone thinks I'm the one carrying you, but the truth is, you're the one carrying me. This time, neither Wang Yao nor I did anything. You and Yikexi should split the contribution points. I shook my head and replied, no, we stick to the original plan. I want to keep hunting level 50 mutant beasts. Are you guys down to help? After devouring the Zhu Yinlong and its life essence, Hemming's evolution gauge jumped by 150 points. That was 10 times more than what a level 40 mutant beast would give. If he could take down a few more, he might be able to evolve again. King Kong's eyes lit up, and he happily agreed. Yi Kexi's support role was absolutely crucial. After that, the trio began clearing out the mutant beasts from level 50 to 54 in the surrounding area. Late at night, I saw that Hemming's evolution gauge was completely full. So, I called the other two over, and we got ready to head back. Back at the command post, everyone was in utter awe. In just a single day, they had taken down 11 level 50 or higher mutant beasts. That's even faster than the instructors, the officer nearby remarked. In the entire Beiliang mountain range, there are only a little over 1,000 mutant beasts at level 50 or above. At this rate, they'll probably clear the whole place out in just over a month. Yang Xiao nodded with satisfaction. Those level 50 mutant beasts are a lurking threat for the tide. Once we wipe them out, those even more powerful giant spirit beasts won't dare to make a move so easily. Back in the dorm, I pulled out my special terminal and used my contribution points to request a level 2 stone-type life crystal. Contribution points were far more valuable than school credits. This was the exchange system used on the front lines. You could only earn them by contributing to the survival of the human race, which made it a perfect motivator. The life crystal was delivered in no time. I opened the safe and grabbed the thumb-sized crystals. They instantly shattered in my hand, turning into a torrent of fragments that fused directly into my body. My level instantly shot up to level 20. I stared at the second awakening notification blinking on my status screen. I clicked confirm without a second thought. A blinding flash of white light enveloped me. When my vision cleared, I found myself standing in the middle of a vast plain. A transparent window popped up in front of me, coordinate 00996. This was a world conquered by the Edwards race. Their goal was to enslave every living thing to multiply and expand. Mission: eliminate the Edwards. Number of participants: 1. Time limit: 24 hours. Self-initiated return to the academy is impossible. I frowned slightly. The Edwards were one of the alien races actively attacking humanity. To think they still had enough power to spare for invading other worlds. My gaze hardened. Much later, I reached the edge of a cliff. Down below, next to a massive plantation, stood gray-skinned creatures over 2 meters tall. They were bipedal Edwards, with a pair of horns growing from their heads. Their eyes were filled with pure contempt. They were forcing emotionless humans to draw their own blood to feed small, pitch-black trees bearing blood-red fruit. Seeing this, a burning rage surged inside me. A neon glow flashed as my battle armor materialized, covering my entire body. The ground exploded beneath my feet as I leaped off the 100-meter-high cliff. While 2 Edwards were talking, a loud boom echoed right behind them. Turning around in confusion, they saw, through a thick cloud of dust, a silver silhouette charging straight at them. In the blink of an eye, I was right in front of them. My armored fist crashed into one of them, sending out a white shockwave. The blow landed square on his face, shattering his nose and fracturing his facial bones. He was sent flying like a cannonball for dozens of meters before crashing heavily onto the ground. The impact left him with a severe concussion. If it weren't for his incredibly tough physique, his head would have burst open right then and there. The other Edward's face contorted in shock. He materialized a long spear of dark energy and charged at me. Without even bothering to dodge, I grabbed the tip of his spear and crushed it to dust. Terrified, the Edward scrambled to turn around and call for backup, but I was much faster. I drew my combat blade and brought it down in one swift strike, slicing him clean in half. His blood splattered across my armor. The rest of the Edwards finally snapped out of it, their terrifying eyes locking onto me, burning with rage. I felt absolutely no fear. My blade slowly morphed into a massive halberd over 3 meters long. The sheer, terrifying weight of the weapon made the air hum with every swing. Turning into a fleeting shadow, I instantly reappeared right in front of one of them. Jintai raised his shield to block, but the force of the blow blasted him away, embedding him deep into the cliffside. He pried himself out of the rock, staring at me with a grim expression. His strength and speed were completely inferior to mine, and yet he was supposed to be a third circle Edward. But remembering there were 80 of his kin in the plantation, Jintai smirked cruelly. Everyone, tear him to shreds. Feed his remains to the blood trees. All the Edwards roared, unleashing their dark energy. The air became thick with a foul, sickening aura, but it didn't faze me in the slightest. An explosive surge of power coursed through my body. The Zambato sliced through the air, sweeping everything in its path. The heads of the 2 closest Edwards were instantly crushed, pierced by long, sharp filaments. But their strikes couldn't even leave a scratch on my armor. As pure terror washed over the Edwards, another swing of my Zambato wiped out an entire wave of them in an instant. Like a rampaging beast, backed by my 220 points of pure strength, I wielded the crystal Zambato and tore a path forward. One by one, the Edwards fell, completely ripped apart. Jintai began to panic. He used his dark power to manifest chains, trying to bind me. Quick! Pin him down, everyone together! The words had barely left his mouth when Jin Tai felt a violent tug on the other end of the chains. His entire body was yanked forward, completely losing control. The terrifying Zambato was already coming down right toward him. His face twisted in horror, and he frantically activated his special talent. His skin tore open to reveal a thick, hard layer of black keratin. But it was useless. The Zambato still sliced him clean in half. Witnessing his brother's brutal end, Jin Ta immediately spun around and fled toward the royal city. I immediately morphed my Zambato into a war spear and locked my sights onto Jin Ta's retreating figure. I flexed the muscles in my arm and hurled the spear with all my might. The spear pierced right through him, instantly shattering his head. The remaining Edwards began to scream in terror, realizing they had absolutely no weapons left against me. Bring it on! Their battle cries had barely faded when I crushed the head of the first one who charged with a single, brutal punch. Now, the real close-quarters beatdown was about to begin. Every single punch sent out a white shockwave. Within moments, all 80 of those Edis were completely pulverized. Just as I was about to pick up my spear, something suddenly appeared in the sky, a gigantic eye made of gray runic patterns. I looked up, staring right back at that massive gray eye. Looks like they've spotted me. Taking a deep breath, I summoned Yeming with a single thought. His body stretched over 100 meters long, wrapped in a terrifying savage aura. Right then, a massive horde of Edis was already charging our way. Just to be safe, I immediately clicked to confirm his evolution. The moment I did, the primordial power source deep within Yeming's body unleashed terrifying waves of purifying energy that swept through his entire being. Erupting into a pillar of pitch-black light that pierced the clouds, that gray eye was instantly blown to pieces. Heaven and earth seemed to tremble. Yeming threw his head back and let out a deafening roar. An aura of pure, terrifying tyranny surged out with the sound, his voice echoing across thousands of meters. Congratulations. Your summon, Yeming, has acquired the skill. Absolute courage. Congratulations. Your summon, Yeming, has acquired the new talent, imminent death. All of his stats have jumped by 90 points. I let out a sigh of relief, another massive upgrade in the bag. But the most impressive part was his flame mastery. It has evolved into celestial flames. After fusing 3 types of power, he can now manifest his own domain. As for imminent death, even though I haven't tested it yet, a talent like that is bound to be incredibly powerful. Right at that moment, runic patterns gathered in the sky again, and that massive gray eye reappeared. Immediately after, a savage horde of Edis came rushing from the horizon. The ones leading the charge were level 55. A difficulty level this insane for a level 20 class change dungeon was completely unheard of in all of human history. A thought flashed through my mind. My war spear instantly morphed into battle armor, and I said coldly, Yeming, leave none of them alive. The moment the words left my mouth, Yeming's body began to swell at a terrifying speed. He rapidly transformed into a monstrous black beast, standing 550 meters tall at the shoulders and stretching over 1,000 meters long. Jet black flames erupted from his entire body, and his deep blue, slit-like pupils turned a cold, lifeless gray. An aura of death, cold enough to freeze the blood of any living thing, rolled off him. His savage roar echoed for more than 10 kilometers. Under this suffocating pressure, every single Edu froze in their tracks. Deep down to their very souls, they were gripped by an overwhelming terror at the sight of the pitch-black flames consuming his body. Even from several kilometers away, they could feel an existential threat of extreme danger. Despite the distance, the scorching heat was suffocating. Towering over them with a body stretching several thousand meters wide, Yeming crossed hundreds of meters with a single step. That single stride instantly put the 5-ring demons on high alert. Then, without warning, Yeming unleashed his raw power. The ground fractured for hundreds of meters as he surged forward, his speed and power skyrocketing. Drawing energy from heaven and earth, he materialized in the very center of the demon horde in the blink of an eye. Staring down at them coldly with his gray eyes, Yeming raised his colossal claw and slammed it down. A massive shadow enveloped them. Under that crushing weight, countless demons were turned to mush before being instantly consumed by the black flames. Watching this horror unfold, their leader, Leali, shrieked, "Ignore the monster, go kill that human." Seeing the demons trying to bypass him, Yeming's gaze turned ice cold. He slammed his front paw down. With a thunderous roar, his pitch-black body unleashed an explosion of fire that swept across thousands of meters, incinerating everything in its path. Countless demons shrieked in terror. They weren't just feeling a burning sensation, they could feel their very life force being rapidly snuffed out. Within mere seconds, the weaker demons were reduced to ashes. A shocked Leali choked out, "Damn it, what kind of power is this? It's burning my vital essence directly." Vital essence represents a creature's lifespan. Once it's gone, it can never be recovered, unless you can replenish it with incredibly rare treasures. He frantically ordered, "Attack, do it now. If this keeps up, even if we win, we won't have any life left to live." The five-ring demons at the front immediately brandished all sorts of weapons, each unleashing their most devastating attacks. But as their strikes hit Yeming, a golden light flared up, radiating an aura of absolute invincibility. Every single attack was completely blocked. Layali gritted his teeth. How the hell is his defense this absurd? Just then, the colossal claw came crashing down once more. It felt as if an entire mountain range was collapsing onto them with a deafening roar. Jet black wings erupted from Layali's back like a sharp blade, and he bolted into the distance. But suddenly, an absolute, paralyzing terror gripped his mind. Out of the darkness, a merciless, death-bringing gaze locked onto him. Layali froze dead in his tracks. Under the weight of that deadly gaze, the fear effect was massively amplified. In that split second, the giant claws slammed down violently. Layali couldn't move a single muscle. The ground collapsed instantly as if a cataclysmic earthquake was tearing the earth apart. Face to face with this giant black wolf, a walking natural disaster, the 9 remaining demons looked at each other in sheer terror. This beast is too terrifying. It's a monster. Run! The other 8 demons nodded in panic and spread their black bone wings, desperately fleeing toward Wangcheng. Underneath his massive paw, Yeming devoured Layali completely. He then looked up with an icy gaze, locking onto one of the fleeing demons. In a flash, he materialized behind him, his claw cloaked in black light, tearing the demon to shreds. Seeing this, the remaining 8 five-ring demons were scared out of their wits, wishing they had an extra set of wings to fly faster. Right then, Yeming's gaze released an aura that made the demons shudder. A bone-chilling aura of death enveloped another demon, transforming the surrounding area into a decaying gray domain that instantly wiped out his life force. Meanwhile, I watch expressionlessly as the remaining corrupted bastards charge toward me. I blur forward in an instant, sweeping through everything in my path. Under the devastating power of my spikes, the flesh and blood of the corrupted explode as they take their final breath. Soon, within a 100-meter radius, nothing remains but a gruesome carnage of blood and bodies. After meeting back up with Yeming as he finishes the battle, I charge forward at full speed toward where they came from, ready to wipe them all out. This time, I've devoured several thousand corrupted beings. My body grows another 5 meters, and the energy required for my next level up has jumped significantly. My evolution points only went up by 100. It's almost 10 times harder than before. Just then, a massive structure hundreds of meters tall appears in my field of vision. A majestic coliseum. Countless corrupted beasts have already retreated, leaving only a single level 59 corrupted behind, waiting all on his own. I-8's gaze is ice cold. From behind his 6-meter-tall body, a pair of terrifying black wings unfurls. An oppressive aura wraps around him as the power of corruption turns into a dark energy flow, casting a shadow over everything. Staring at his silhouette, I say in a cold voice, "What a disgusting aura." Yeming, handle him. I'll take out the other corrupted. Instantly, Yeming's body grows to a massive 1,000 meters long. Jet black flames explode around him. Like a world-ending beast, his raw, savage power surges in every direction, cracking the plains for over 1 kilometer. Yeming lunges in a split second, appearing right before his target. But even as Yeti stares at this giant black shadow 100 times his size, his face remains completely calm. His claws, dripping with dark light, strike down. The air itself ruptures like thunder. The moment they make contact, the outer wall, solid as steel, shatters into pieces. It's as fragile as paper. Yet, just as the strike is about to crush Ayate, it gets blocked by a barrier of swirling dark energy, completely impenetrable. A mere beast that hasn't even reached king rank. You don't actually think you can turn the world upside down just because you crushed a few ants, do you? Ayate says, his voice flat. With a casual flick of his finger, the dark barrier expands and detonates, blasting Yeming far back. It unleashes a terrifying aura of corruption, withering and consuming every blade of grass within a 1-kilometer radius. Searing rings of dark energy rise continuously around A8 as his power surges to its absolute peak. I am the son of the demon king of the fallen. I'm nothing like those useless trash. Prepare to die, A8 roars, swinging his blade down with brutal force. The massive, 100-meter shadow of the blade crashes down on Yeming. A golden light flares up across his body to defend him, but it shatters under the intense pressure after only a few seconds. With a roaring howl, Yeming catches the blade with both hands, bracing against it with his raw physical strength and his 2,500 constitution points. The surrounding ground collapses dozens of meters deep, and right in front of him, the blade carves an immense, bottomless trench. In just a single strike, Yeming takes massive damage. Ayate's expression doesn't even flicker. Not bad. Managing to survive one of my attacks. I'll give you a chance to become my mount. Just stay out of my way while I go put that human down. At those words, an unprecedented fury ignites in the eyes of Yeming. He glares at A8 with pure hatred. His roar shakes heaven and earth as his pitch-black body ignites with flames that stretch for several thousand meters in the blink of an eye. An aura of absolute terror burns everything in its path. A dark, colossal silhouette over 2,000 meters tall slowly begins to materialize. This time, the illusion is so dense it's almost tangible. Its aura spreads, dominating everything and unleashing a suffocating, devouring pressure. Ayate's expression darkens. He can feel his very life force being violently ripped away. Yeming glares coldly at Ayate without even needing to move. He simply raises his razor-sharp claw and slashes downward. The colossal phantom mimics his movement perfectly. Ayate's face twists in shock. He channels every ounce of his fallen power to reinforce his barrier, but it's not even close to stopping the terrifying phantom. He is slammed brutally into the ground like a spark of dark flame. Ayate's face goes pale as he feels his life force constantly draining away. He flies into a mad rage. A terrifying surge of power erupts from his body, but it barely spreads 10 meters before being completely shut down. He freezes in absolute disbelief. Before he can even react, the phantom's massive claw strikes again, sending Ayate crashing violently into the solid wall. He is blown back hundreds of meters. Suddenly, Ayate's body swells up, growing dozens of meters tall as pitch-black markings crawl across his skin. From his back, ancient black wings unfurl to a massive 100-meter wingspan. A long, dark spear slowly materializes in his hand, radiating surges of dark energy. Demonic wrath, go to hell, Ayate roars. His figure vanishes in a flash, tearing through the obstacles with a deafening crash. The dark spear, cloaked in black flames, thrusts straight toward its target. But Yeming's speed and reflexes are on a whole different level. With the massive reach of his phantom form, he swats Ayate down like a pesky fly, sending him slamming into the ground and carving out a massive crater. Dragging himself up, he grinds his teeth in sheer rage. A noble-born like him has never suffered such utter humiliation. Bagani, what the hell are you waiting for? Activate the Fallen Heavens seal, his voice echoes across the battlefield. Instantly, a pitch-black dome like an inverted sky locks down over the entire area. It blankets the entire landscape. Giant chains, dozens of meters wide, pulsing with the power of the Fallen, surge from the void to bind Yeming. Wave after wave, endless streams of dark energy seep through the chains, corrupting his entire body as if trying to assimilate him. Seeing Yeming completely bound, Ayate bursts into a mad, hysterical laugh. Under the combined power of tens of thousands of Fallen, not even a master of the Sixth Circle could escape this. Just wait. I'm going to take my sweet time torturing you. But right then, Yeming lets out a deafening roar, merging the celestial flame, avarice, and greed into a triple power of death. The dark flames detonate, instantly expanding over 1,000 meters. A terrifying aura of death floods the entire domain. At this moment, anyone caught within this ocean of black fire is completely doomed. Even immortal, eternal gods couldn't hope to escape it. At that exact moment, Yeming's dark phantom form completely solidifies. On its index finger, a massive eye opens, its double gray pupil pulsing with a terrifying intent to kill. All I have to do is close this eye, and every single target within my domain will be instantly erased. I am the master of this world. Purgatory of celestial death, open. The sheer power of this domain, born from the fusion of 3 talents, is completely off the charts. Ayate's smug grin instantly freezes as his expression turns to absolute pure horror. Trapped inside the purgatory, not only is his life force being consumed and burned away by the black flames, but his fallen aura is also slowly eroding. Damn you, let's see which of us two drops dead first. Or, if I manage to absorb you first. Ayate's face was twisted in sheer madness. He poured all his corrupted power into the chains, tightening their toxic grip. Their power surged violently. Endless waves of corruption washed over Yeming's body, threatening to completely taint his flesh and soul. Yeming let out a thunderous roar toward the sky, desperately fighting to slow the advance of the corrupted power. Ever since he was born, a mutation had left him small and weak, causing his pack to abandon him in the merciless forest. Hunger and freezing cold had almost killed him, but his master's call saved him just in the nick of time. From that very moment, Yeming chose to follow his master for all eternity. His battles were never driven by a contract or some spiritual bond. The entire purpose of his life was to fight for him. Right then, the evil specter roared in turn, without even waiting for Yeming's command. The grayish energy surrounding it shattered the chains, tearing through his shackles in an instant. The fierce specter turned slowly toward Ayate, its gray eyes filled with cold indifference. A terrifying aura of death exploded from deep within him. Ayate immediately sensed extreme danger. His body suddenly turned gray, his life force draining away in mere seconds. Just as he was on the brink of death, a dark power surged from his body, crushing the aura of death. Ayate looked completely shaken. The protective power his father, the king, had left him was now gone. He didn't dare linger any longer. He turned on his heel and fled as fast as his wings could carry him. Meanwhile, I had already made my way behind the city, right onto the massive palace square. I hurled my war lance with all my might across hundreds of meters, piercing right through the air. It soared toward the tens of thousands of evil creatures, wiping out a massive horde in an instant. All the remaining creatures began to roar, unleashing their own corrupted power. Thick streams of black energy turned into long chains that bound me. An endless amount of corrupted power surged along the chains, but I felt absolutely nothing. But then, Hingdi's cry of distress echoed in my mind, and my face darkened. I grew serious. Just as I was preparing to take the hit myself, the roar of my brother-in-arms suddenly echoed not far away. A corpse several dozen meters tall, smashing through countless buildings, crashed down onto a mass of evil creatures. The terrifying impact crushed them to pulp. The giant black wolf was unstoppable. His 1,000-meter-tall figure pulverized every building in the blink of an eye. His ferocious power made every creature tremble. Upon seeing that body, dozens of meters tall, the creatures couldn't believe their eyes. Lord Layet was dead. Fear spread among them instantly. Heming shattered the chains with a single gesture. I breathed a sigh of relief. Then, I looked at Heming, who was still wrapped in that aura of death, and frowned. He shouldn't use that power anymore, or the backlash will be too heavy for him to bear right now. Sensing my concern, Heming explained to me telepathically. The death aura will fade on its own over time. Hearing this, I nodded and began wiping out all the creatures in the palace. Hardly had I finished and returned to the square when the sky suddenly darkened, filled with boundless corrupted power. It began taking the vague shape of a specter. Finally, from that corrupted power, a specter hundreds of meters tall slowly materialized. Its features were blurry. Clad in battle armor, it exuded a repulsive aura that exploded in an instant. Waves of dark energy surged in every direction. This time, even with Hingdi's protection, I could feel the threat. Right then, a cruel laugh rang out. Hey, it's a success. This specter, formed by the power of tens of thousands of fallen creatures, this fallen sky specter possesses the power of the sixth ring. It even carries a tiny fraction of the original entity's power. Baekam spoke with fury. Kid, since you killed our master, you're going to pay with your life. I didn't react. I summoned Captain Tian Kang from the circular world and cast enhancement and recovery spells on Heming in advance. With a roar, Heming instantly transformed into a colossal beast, his 1,000-meter-long body wrapping around his companions. His aura was in no way inferior to the fallen specters. The heavenly furnace and infernal prison domain, a fusion of 3 talents, unfolded in an instant. Jet black flames streaked with gold exploded, charged with a suppressing power that instantly pushed back the dark domain. Zushi's expression turned grim. He immediately retreated, not daring to stay inside this black and gold domain. How is this possible? His domain is different from last time. Staying inside doesn't just drain my life essence, it completely suppresses my power. At that moment, a ferocious aura was condensing above Heming's head. Instead, its surface was covered in countless pitch-black patterns, emitting a divine light. Under this majestic, overbearing, and terrifying suppressing power, everything around him grew incredibly heavy. A black and gold energy burst forth, making him look like a demon god tasked with subduing hell itself. His roar echoed for thousands of kilometers. Under the influence of the heavenly furnace and infernal prison domain, Heming's body became even more formidable. Each of his attacks was imbued with a heavy, terrifying suppressing power. Faced with this power, Zushi's expression darkened even further. He immediately injected his corruptive power into the fallen specter. The specter suddenly grew by 100 meters, becoming even more massive. The 2 pairs of ancient black wings on its back spread across 1,000 meters. The dark domain expanded in an instant, constantly clashing with the heavenly furnace domain. They locked horns, and shockwaves of gray, black, and gold exploded in successive waves, spreading in all directions. The level of this battle was far too high, no one else could interfere. At the exact same time, in a grayish palace countless worlds away, a humanoid creature clad in fierce gray battle armor abruptly opened his pitch-black eyes on his throne. An aura of absolute terror awakened instantly. Someone used the power of the void. He focused, tracing the energy back to its source. Rapidly following a mysterious connection, a fragment of his consciousness descended upon the fallen specter. Instantly, a gleam flashed in the fallen specter's eyes. It was no longer a lifeless, mindless shell. Daoshin's consciousness had just taken possession of the specter's body. His gaze locked onto Heming. He exclaimed, "This black wolf isn't even 6 months old, yet he already possesses such a 6-circle domain. What terrifying potential." Just then, with a thunderous roar, Heming ripped through the dark domain. Ignoring the corrosive power surging over him, his dominant claws, charged with a heavy suppressing force, bared. A black flash tore through the air. Duoshin frowned slightly, his body instantly retreating 1,000 meters as he tried to fly away. But Heming clung to him, moving even faster. The terrifying force of suppression slowed the fallen specter down. Seizing the moment, Heming leaped high into the air. Both of his claws struck at once under the weight of that suppressing force. Duoshin's figure slammed violently into the ground, carving out a crater 1,000 meters wide. Fueled by a tenfold rage, Heming charged once more. With his celestial furnace domain boosting him, he didn't give Duotian a single chance to back away. His claws rained down in a destructive frenzy. At that exact moment, two pairs of gray pupils flared to life, and an aura of death began to erupt wildly from him. Even if Duotian wasn't a living being, the power of death would still force its definition of the end upon him. It made no distinction. Right then, Duotian's expression turned dead serious. 4 different talents. Even if a tiny portion of that power dissipated, it wouldn't matter. But this Black Wolf's potential is just too terrifying. He has to be eliminated. Otherwise, it won't be long before the human race gains a brand new sovereign. A powerhouse of this caliber would completely derail our fallen demon clan's invasion. With that thought, Duotian stopped hesitating. He unleashed his corruptive power to the absolute limit. He violently shoved Yeming back and soared straight into the sky. Instantly, an infinite torrent of corruptive power began to surge in from all directions. The other demons watched in utter horror as their own corruptive power was forcefully ripped from them. As they were drained dry to the point of death, a massive ebony spear, over 1,000 meters long, materialized in the air. Its terrifying pressure completely froze the air. Waves of dark energy rippled out in every direction. It was a horrifying sight, but that wasn't even the end of it. The grayish domain surrounding him began to shrink rapidly, eventually wrapping itself entirely around the ebony spear. This was the true power of a sovereign rank transformation. Their mastery over domains far surpasses that of lesser beings. They can expand it to crush their opponents, or compress it onto a weapon to double its destructive power. Duotian looked down with cold, emotionless eyes. He locked onto me in an instant, but in a split second, Yeming crossed 1 kilometer, his massive body stepping right in front of me to shield me. Duotian sneered, "I knew you would protect your master. Die!" But in the very next second, his movements froze. Instead of expanding, the firmament prison began to violently collapse in on itself. That power, compressed to its absolute limit, eventually fused directly into his body. In an instant, black and gold patterns flared to life across his body, unleashing an ultimate suppressing force that spread for thousands of meters. The ground instantly caved in over 10 meters deep, grinding countless rocks and debris to absolute dust. Stunned and infuriated, Duotian hurled his black spear, slicing through the air over a distance of 1 kilometer. Like a bolt of black lightning, it appeared right in front of Yeming in a heartbeat. Although this strike carried a destructive force nearing the 7th circle, it was visibly slowed down by the suppressing field radiating from Yeming. Its speed was instantly cut in half. Yeming let out a deafening roar. He caught the tip of the spear bare-pawed, and the 2 terrifying forces clashed in a massive explosion. The resulting shockwave ripped across tens of thousands of meters. At that exact moment, the black and gold patterns pulsed frantically. Yeming's defensive power and physical strength skyrocketed, and he didn't yield even an inch. The ground beneath his paws kept cracking and caving in. Duotian immediately funneled all his remaining corruptive power to make the spearhead even sharper. After a few minutes of intense struggle between the 2 forces, hairline fractures appeared on the tip of the spear and began to spread. With a fierce roar, Yeming unleashed every bit of his physical raw power and his domain. The 1 kilometer-long spear shattered violently, exploding into countless black fragments. At that very second, Duotian's phantom, completely drained of power, dissolved into a black mist. In his final moments, Duotian burned my face into his memory before his consciousness returned to the Ashen Palace. Back in the palace, Duotian rose from his throne. His aura, deep as an abyss, crushed down on the surrounding demons, who began to tremble in fear. He's only level 20. How is he already able to compress his domain? His expression was grim. Such a deep understanding and mastery over power was absolutely terrifying. Those are the prerequisites to reach the throne of the 10th circle. And yet, that Black Wolf managed it at just level 20. But what shocked him even more was that the Black Wolf's domain wasn't just coated over his body, it was completely fused with him. That was a feat only a heavenly king sitting on their throne could pull off. Duotian let out a soft sigh, and the oppressive atmosphere instantly settled. He might have used some recording item to gather my info. Put him on the extermination list of the true fallen demon race, alongside all those human geniuses who have the potential to ascend to the throne. Mark them all so any demon at rank 6 or higher can eliminate them on sight. Having issued the order, he leaned back in his throne, closed his eyes, and fell silent. Meanwhile, back on the devastated battlefield, Yeming stood tall, his towering figure imposing. Black and gold divine runes covered his entire body, radiating an overbearing, dominant aura. I finally deactivated my strengthening and recovery spells. My head was spinning and I felt incredibly dizzy. Even with Tian Kang's spiritual recovery, keeping both active at the same time had pushed me past my absolute limit. After what felt like an eternity, the notification marking the end of the reincarnation dungeon finally rang out. In the next instant, both Yeming and I vanished into thin air. Time was up, score calculation beginning. Total demons killed, 1 of coupled rank along with 1 of rank 6. Rescued 974 people. Final evaluation, perfect. Class attribute growth. enhanced effects of both the strengthening and recovery spells. The summoning skill has been promoted to sacred summoning. I materialized back in my dorm room. I recalled Yeming just in the nick of time to keep the room from collapsing, then checked my status screen for my class promotion. I'll need another perfect evaluation in a reincarnation dungeon to actually unlock it, but the skill upgrades are already massive. The boost from my strengthening spell increased from 20% to 35%, and the recovery spell upgraded from slow healing to rapid regeneration. However, the mana cost has doubled. Still, the biggest win is definitely the upgrade to my summoning spell. From now on, any creature I summon is guaranteed to possess a sacred aura. I was buzzing with anticipation, but I didn't rush to cast a summon just yet. Instead, I pulled out my phone to check the Bayan City news and stumbled upon a report about hundreds of survivors appearing out of nowhere. I let out a deep sigh of relief. The report explained that they were fellow citizens from another world. Enslaved by the demons of Orin, they had been saved by a reincarnator clad in silver armor. They were teleported to Angsen, where the authorities would take proper care of them. In the featured photo, their emaciated bodies already looked like they were recovering. Zhu Yuhan must have given them some of his blood to revitalize them. Once the excitement died down, a massive wave of exhaustion washed over me. I collapsed and knocked out immediately. At dawn, Fang Yi's trio came back utterly exhausted. Seeing me sleeping like a baby, they gritted their teeth and dragged me out of bed. As it turned out, after the military released the footage of me slaying the three-headed serpent, the forums completely blew up. Everyone realized I did it entirely on my own strength. This drove everyone to start grinding missions like crazy, which meant they didn't get any rest either. Xiao Huayan suddenly chimed in. Apparently, at Baylin Academy, the students use a team-based loop mission strategy, making them way more efficient than anyone else. Their competitive spirits instantly caught fire, and they even decided to skip meals. They left right then and there to round up their teammates and keep grinding. I couldn't help but smile watching them. I got up as well and headed to the mission hall. It had been over half a day since I last ran a mission. My rank had plummeted from 10th to over 2,000th. After a moment of thought, I accepted a mission to hunt down the level 59 Bao Shan, along with a 6th-tier reincarnation quest. I walked away, leaving the female soldier utterly flabbergasted. This 6th-tier quest required slaying a terrifying colossal beast named Lindsay. No one had ever completed it, not even the instructors. Commander Yang Xiaofu looked both helpless and hopeful. The drone assigned to monitor me kept following closely. An hour later, riding Yeming, I reached the deep, uncharted areas of the mountain range. There, in the middle of a barren plain, I spotted the dark gold leopard bear. It snapped its golden eyes open, and its massive, 600-meter body towered over the landscape. The earth began to shake as a tyrannical pressure surged forward. It roared, trying to drive us away. I quietly dismounted, backed away, and left the battle to Yeming. Its level is just too high. I'm completely outclassed right now. I need to convert my contribution points into metal materials as soon as possible for Jindi's fusion. Seeing that I had backed away to a safe distance, Yeming turned his head. His cold gaze locked onto the dark gold leopard bear as his body expanded rapidly, stretching past 1,000 meters in length. Standing 650 meters tall at the shoulder, a majestic power erupted from him, striking absolute terror into the dark gold leopard bear. Back at the command center, the officer was completely shocked. In just half a day, the beast had grown from a few hundred meters to well over 1,000. Yang Xiaofu was just as stunned. After all, a triple S rank growth talent had never been seen before among humans. As the ground cracked open, Heming's figure blurred forward in an instant. Pitch-black flames erupted, and a terrifying, 2,000-meter-tall demonic phantom materialized. The flames engulfed an area of 6 kilometers before shrinking back to just over 2,000 meters to conserve his mana. After his battle with Duocean, his control over his domain and power had drastically improved. The dark gold leopard bear roared, wrapping its body in razor-sharp currents of wind. Its raised claws gleamed with a golden light, but standing before the demonic phantom, its 600-meter frame looked absolutely puny. As the black flame claws slashed down, the dark gold leopard bear tried to block with everything it had. Gold and black shockwaves rippled outward, violently shaking the earth. The razor-sharp winds were instantly swallowed up, and a colossal pressure crushed down on the dark gold leopard bear. The ground crumbled beneath its paws, forcing its knees to buckle. It roared in sheer rage, its muscles swelling as it unleashed even sharper gusts of wind, but the demonic phantom suddenly shifted its stance. Seizing the opening, Yeming lunged forward, his black claws shredding through the air. He left 4 deep gashes that exposed the bone. The dark gold leopard bear howled in agony. It realized the dark flames were seeping into its wounds, eating away at its life force. With a crazed look in its eyes, it threw itself into a desperate, frenzied struggle against Yeming. Countless rivers of blood stained the ground crimson. Every single drop of it belonged to the dark gold leopard bear. With the help of his demonic phantom, Heming was basically fighting a 2-on-1 battle and came out completely unscathed. Finally, the dark gold leopard bear roared at the heavens, its aura spiking frantically. Then, it abruptly spun around and fled in sheer terror into the deepest part of the mountain range, smashing through giant trees and kicking up massive clouds of dust. After a brief moment of surprise, Heming immediately gave chase. Armed with over 2,500 points in agility, his speed was absolutely blinding. In the blink of an eye, he closed the gap. The dark gold leopard bear glanced back, utterly terrified. It howled, calling out to its king for help. Far in the distance, atop a mountain peak, a colossal sleeping beast slowly opened its eyes, its body crackling with countless blue lightning bolts. A terrifying roar echoed across over 100,000 meters. Through the deafening sound, a giant bear-like beast, standing 1,000 meters tall at the shoulder and crackling with blue lightning, stepped forward. It was the indestructible mad bear from episode 62. The dark gold leopard bear surged to its side, whimpering and accusing Heming of invading its territory for no reason. Hearing this, the indestructible mad bear instantly unleashed its blue lightning. It surged without restraint, and a torrential downpour began to pour from what was just a clear sky. Countless lightning bolts struck down as storm clouds gathered to form the eye of a massive lightning cyclone. The scene was pure apocalypse. This is the sheer power of a colossal beast's domain. Capable of altering heaven and earth, it was far more powerful than Duocean's phantom. It clearly possesses a royal-grade bloodline. My eyes narrowed. I pulled out the Tian Kang talisman to cast a buff on Heming. The mad bear Bao Xiang's gaze hardened. The ground beneath its feet shattered as it charged at Heming in a flash. Right then, pitch-black flames teeming with a terrifying, oppressive force erupted from Heming's body. Black and gold divine patterns spread across his entire body. A domineering aura swept through the area, making even the mad bear Bao Xiang flinch. Its lightning domain was completely suppressed. The celestial purgatory now reigned supreme. Standing 1,000 meters tall, Heming looks like a demonic god crushing heaven and earth. A terrifying aura radiates from him. Bumi Q Axion is completely frozen in shock. Seeing that massive tail strike whipping toward him like black lightning, he roars, slashing his talons. The instant the black, gold, and blue energies collide, a massive shockwave surges like a tsunami. The crash is absolutely deafening. Bumi Q Axion pushes his domain to its absolute limit, but he still can't break free from the grip of the celestial purgatory. It's a terrifying domain, born from the fusion of Heming's 3 talents, and it even carries the power of the throne. Not even his dark domain can match it. He lets out a furious roar and slams down his other fist, wrapped in raging thunder. Completely fearless, Heming unleashes claws of black light, clashing with the two 1,000-meter-tall giant beasts in a relentless barrage. Shockwaves detonate in rapid bursts, shattering the earth and utterly vaporizing the surrounding forest. Lightning rains down from the sky, striking Heming relentlessly. Relying purely on his godlike defense, he tanks every hit without giving his opponent a single opening. I watch from a distance, quietly casting a healing spell. The battle, which had been neck and neck, suddenly swings in Heming's favor. Bumi Q Axion and Xiong Er roar in absolute fury. Xiong Er, go kill that human, quick. With a murderous glare, Yinjing Baoxiong charges at Heming. Overwhelmed by sudden rage, a terrifying gray energy erupts from him. The death sentence envelops Yinjing Baoxiong in a gray aura, a zone that obliterates all life. He collapses, critically wounded. But Bumi Qiangxiang seizes this brief moment of distraction. His claws transform into a blinding bolt of lightning, slamming violently into Heming's head. Under the impact of this terrifying force, Heming is driven down. The ground collapses beneath his paws. Bumi Qiangxiang seizes the chance to crush him with his entire weight, as wild lightning rains down frantically. At that very moment, Yinjing Baoxiong struggles back to his feet and charges with a roar. My face darkens. Just as I'm weighing a strategic retreat, a massive explosion echoes in the distance. Emerging from a massive cloud of dust, a woman clad in golden armor comes charging in, wielding a 4-meter-long halberd. It's Jafei. Her speed is blinding. Every single step she takes shakes the ground, leaving a long trail of destruction as she closes in on Yinjing Baoxiong. She brandishes her halberd, and its blade swells to a massive 20 meters. She swings it down with unbelievable force, the blade's glow slicing through everything in its path. She carves deep, bloody gashes into Yinjing Baoxiong's already battered body. Furious, Yinjing Baoxiong glares at her and tries to crush her with a massive paw strike. Jifei's battle aura flares even brighter as she dodges the strike with a lightning-fast leap. Then, with a sweeping horizontal slash, she tears right through Yinjing Baoxiong's flesh. Within mere minutes, Yinjing Baoxiong's massive body collapses with a thunderous crash. Refusing to lose, he unleashes the wind blade of his secret technique, but Jifei is already one step ahead. Her vital energy erupts, materializing into a crimson flash that completely sweeps away and scatters the wind current. Finally, Jifei leaps into the air and swings down her halberd, now measuring over 30 meters with colossal force. I watch in absolute shock as the tyrant's skull is completely crushed. He was completely dead. Breathing his last breath, his battle aura faded away, and his body shrank back to its normal size. She walks over to me with a smile. "Master, wasn't that a beautiful sight?" But thinking back to her brutal, savage fighting style, only one phrase comes to my mind: a total she-T-Rex. She narrows her eyes, giving me a terrifying glare. I quickly shake my head to change the subject. "Master Jifei, what on earth are you doing here?" "There was so much noise. I just had to come check it out," she says with a smug grin. "So, do you believe me now?" I glance at the crystal core in her hand and say with total sincerity, "Of course I do." Seeing that I'm completely unharmed, Jifei finally lets out a sigh of relief. As the celestial refining formation contracted to a radius of 1,000 meters, the crushing pressure grew exponentially, instantly shattering the aura of the immortal tyrant. The two opponents threw themselves back into their death match. Their clashes shook the very earth and caused mountains to crumble. The power they unleashed was terrifying. Right then, across a span of over 10,000 meters, the storm clouds and lightning suddenly went wild, striking the earth relentlessly. Endless black clouds swirled above Yeming, forming the eye of a massive hurricane 10,000 meters wide. A terrifying, crushing power began to build up, second by second. There isn't a single trace of fear in Yeming's eyes. Controlling the celestial refining formation, he slowly shrinks it. Under the immense compression, a thunderous energy begins to roar continuously. In barely 10 seconds, the domain fully fuses with his body. Instantly, bizarre black and gold patterns begin to glow with a blinding light. An incredibly powerful suppressing force descends. In this world, darkened by pitch-black clouds, a countless barrage of violent lightning bolts erupts on one side, looking like divine wrath. On the other side stands a giant wolf, 1,000 meters tall, the black and gold patterns covering his entire body shining brilliantly. Like a god or a demon, he raises his head and glares at the heavens. The terrifying power of these two opponents splits the world right in half. The spectacle is absolutely breathtaking. Deep inside the eye of the hurricane, endless lightning elements coalesce. Triggered by the furious roar of the immortal tyrant, they crash down all at once. In an instant, heaven and earth grow pitch black for 10,000 meters around. A pillar of blue lightning, seemingly defying the very heavens, crashes down from the sky. Under this 1,000-meter-wide pillar of lightning, everything, including the air itself, is vaporized, completely engulfing Yeming. The ground across several thousand meters completely vanishes, leaving a crater over 300 meters deep. The black wolf, still over 600 meters tall, remains standing, his black and gold patterns glowing brilliantly. He has become the sole light in this pitch-black world. The immortal tyrant's eyes are filled with pure disbelief. He roars, "Impossible! How can this be?" Under the overwhelming suppressing force invading him, Yeming shatters the ground with every single step, walking straight toward the immortal tyrant. His gray eyes are cold and merciless, filled with only one desire: to kill. Yeming lunges, bringing down his strike with terrifying, crushing force. Seeing the immortal tyrant fall, the command post erupts in cheers. "We won. That summon is so badass. He's a straight-up god." That silhouette, standing tall beneath the titanic pillar of lightning, is something they would probably never forget for the rest of their lives. Yang Xiao bursts out laughing. As an expert at the peak of the 9th revolution, he could see much deeper than they did. Mastering a domain? That is something only those of the throne realm can achieve. He himself had barely managed to condense his own domain, still a step away from truly mastering it. More importantly, the Black Wolf could already fuse with his domain. That is indeed the signature technique of a heavenly king. By the time I got back to the dorm, it was already broad daylight. Just then, a soldier approached and handed me a secure chest. "Commander Yang asked me to deliver this to you." I nodded in response. Once I was back in my room, I opened the chest. To my surprise, 6 types of top-tier summoning materials laid right before my eyes. Is this the reward for wiping out all those mutated beasts? If that is the case, then I might as well start the summoning earlier than planned. Actually, I was already looking forward to trying a holy aura summoning. I arranged the summoning materials, reached my hand out into the empty air, and opened my palm. Then, I cast the summoning spell. A magic seal instantly appeared on my palm. As the connection to the other dimension was established, a blinding golden light burst forth. It was a silhouette with long hair and golden wings, radiating a pure and sacred aura. Seeing this humanoid figure, I quickly checked its race. Incredibly, it was an angel. Before this, back in the Rift Canyon, Lulin had only managed to manifest a phantom form that possessed a mere fraction of angelic power, yet even that was hailed as an S-rank talent. That alone shows just how incredibly powerful the angel race truly is. As far as I know, no summoner has ever managed to call forth a being from a race as mighty as the angels. After all, they never answer the summons, and they never form a pact with anyone. But as I looked at this young, golden angel on the verge of death, with both wings shattered on her back, I fell into deep thought. So instead of a weakling, I ended up summoning a cripple. Huh. I smiled and shook my head. But since this little angel answered my call, there was no way I was going to abandon her. I walked over and gently touched the little angel's pale forehead with my finger. Instantly, a voice echoed in my mind. Analysis in progress. Loyalty status, absolute, will never betray. Established life, link. Without a second thought, I chose to confirm. An excruciating, unimaginable pain rushed through me. Then, a voice from the depths of my mind announced, life, link established. Congratulations, your summoned creature has awakened its unique talent, sun and moon rotation. The young angel, still unconscious, was instantly lifted into the air by an immense, profound power. This power broke down into countless light sequences that flowed into her body. Instantly, her severely damaged life essence began to regenerate at lightning speed. After a long while, the young angel's golden eyelashes fluttered. She opened her eyes, radiating a divine aura. Within her golden left eye, you could see the shape of a grand, sovereign sun, filled with pure majesty and blazing heat. As for her right eye, it exuded a chilling, solitary coldness. On her back, her soft golden wings had fully regenerated. As she spread them gently, they looked absolutely breathtaking. Everything about her, from her appearance to her overwhelming presence, completely defied human imagination. Flapping her wings, the little angel fluttered over, grabbed my clothes with her tiny hands, and called out in a sweet, gentle voice, Master. Looking down at the little angel, I smiled warmly. From now on, we are partners. What's your name? I didn't want to just give her some random name, since angels mysteriously receive their own true name the moment they are born. Diana. I nodded, feeling a bit curious. Diana, why did you accept the summoning pact? From what I can tell, you aren't even a year old yet. It should have been impossible for you to answer the call. An angel, a creature that normally disdains being summoned, had actually just been summoned by me. Hearing my words, Diana's eyes dimmed with sadness. Right after I fell from the sacred tree, I was corrupted by a dark energy. And then everyone was gone. Hearing her words, it instantly clicked. Their home had been invaded. For Diana, my summoning had been her only lifeline in that desperate moment. I gently stroked her golden hair to comfort her. Don't worry, it's going to be okay. One day, I'll take you back home. Diana leaned gently into my hand. Yes, Master. Then, with a quick thought, I pulled up her stats. Angel type summon, level 20. Skill, Divine Blessing. Grants the target 50% of her own stats with the added effect of Divine Splendor. This releases her inner power to illuminate the heavens and the earth, continuously healing all wounds within the area of effect, while granting a layer of divine protection that can withstand any attack. Talent, Sun and Moon Rotation. When the blazing sun crosses the sky, nothing can hide from her. Soul Burn. When the solitary full moon hangs high in the night sky, a blade of vengeance manifests, granting the true power of annihilation. And when the sun and moon cross, the hour of judgment arrives, halting heaven and earth in their tracks. After reading through her skills, I was completely blown away. The most insane part was the sun and moon rotation. Whether it's the blazing sun in the sky or the solitary full moon hanging above, both of these effects are unbelievably powerful, but when they overlap, it can literally freeze heaven and earth, affecting the very flow of time itself. The angel race is truly on a whole different level. With that, I unsummoned Diana. I was just getting ready to head back out to farm in the wild when over at the command center, everyone was staring glued to the screen, waiting anxiously for me to appear. But when they saw there was no summoned beast by my side, disappointment washed over them. I'd give anything to know what his third summon looks like. Man, this is killing me. My curiosity is off the charts. It's got to be incredibly strong, right? As the crowd speculated wildly, Yang Xiao remained silent. No matter what his third summon was, as long as he had that black wolf, his estimation of the kid's potential would never drop. Meanwhile, deep in the heart of the mountain range, a middle-aged man whispered a few words in an ancient, obscure tongue. The void began to violently tremble. Countless cracks splintered across the fabric of reality, spreading like a shattered mirror. Before long, the space itself gave way, torn open for dozens of meters by a pair of pitch-black demonic claws. And from the other side, 100 scouts marched forward. Their strength put them all between the fourth and fifth circles. However, the truly powerful ones still couldn't cross over. The capacity of this dimensional rift was extremely unstable and could collapse at any second. Of course, the truly supreme beings could open far more stable dimensional passages, but doing so would instantly shatter the protective barrier, alerting the human race. Kekeke. This time I'm going to slaughter until I'm absolutely satisfied. Feeling a wave of pure malice wash over him, the middle-aged man's face grew pale, but he forced himself to stay calm. What about the resources you promised me? The leader, Lia Clue, cast a disdainful look at the middle-aged man. Then, he tossed him a storage bag, The man scrambled to catch it with both hands. After peering inside with his consciousness, his face lit up with excitement. These items were more than enough to push him straight to the seventh awakening, and that was just the reward for leaking a simple piece of information about the human race. Talk about easy money, Leah Clue said, frowning. Hurry up and hand over the list of the top geniuses here. The middle-aged man quickly handed over the list he had spent the last few days preparing. You need to be especially careful of this guy, Shen Lin. The Kuru looked skeptical. He is only level 16 and he doesn't even have any special talent. Why should we care? The middle-aged man explained, 3 days ago, when he was only level 16, he managed to overcome a 28-level gap to take down a mutant beast. As proof, he showed a video. After watching it, Lee Kuru was visibly shaken. What terrifying tactical genius. Even in our true clan of the depraved, only Yi Kan's is capable of such a feat. This human absolutely cannot be left alive. Standing beside him, Leah Klee's eyes lit up. Licking her lips, she said, "Leave him to me." Lee Kuru frowned. He knew his sister had likely set her sights on this human. She wanted to assimilate him and turn him into her slave, which was as good as killing him anyway. He then ordered everyone to find their own targets and begin the hunt. Leave none of them alive. At his words, all the depraved wore cruel grins before flying off in different directions. Just then, a patrolling microdrone spotted them. The depraved, what are they doing here? Quickly warned the cadets to evacuate the mountain range. All soldiers prepare to fight back. Seeing these depraved, who were at least of the fourth circle, the officer, with a grim expression, immediately barked out a series of orders. Yang Xiao's face, however, showed no surprise. He simply said, "Let's go," before turning on his heel. The officer nodded. She knew that Yang Xiao was likely going to reinforce them personally, but his severe injuries would undoubtedly worsen. At the thought, a flash of resentment crossed the officer's eyes. She hated herself for not being a fighter. Powerless to fight, the others clenched their fists, their hearts heavy. Soon, a tense silence fell over the command post, broken only by the sound of orders being barked out and transmitted. Meanwhile, far off in the sky, a depraved with a seductive figure drifted slowly through the air. She watched the figure in silver armor, guarded by a giant black wolf. Leah Klee smirked. Talk about luck. I found him so quickly and he looks completely exhausted. My little toy, you're mine. Leah Klee licked her lips. She lunged forward as countless black threads shot out from her body. Feeling a sickening aura wash over me, I snapped my eyes open, my gaze icy cold. Yeming, who had already sensed her, had already raised his head. When Leah Klee's eyes met his two gray pupils, an icy shiver ran down her spine. What is this? Her body began to tremble uncontrollably, but she quickly forced herself to snap out of it. Deciding to take the initiative, Leah Klee unleashed all her threads with a wave of her hand. Like a swarm of locusts, they swarmed toward Yeming, but a golden light enveloped his body, completely blocking the threads, while his gray eyes stared back at her with cold indifference. In the very next second, Leah Klee's consciousness was suddenly pulled into a pitch-black, empty void. A pair of cold, ruthless gray eyes slowly opened. Under their gaze, an overwhelming, infinite dread washed over her, completely paralyzing her mind. Leah Klee trembled from head to toe, unable to move a single muscle. She could only watch in utter helplessness as Yeming stepped closer, step by step. With his colossal stature, it took him only a few seconds to loom over her. With a single swipe of his paw, he pinned her to the ground. Pitch-black flames instantly erupted, starting to consume her. The mighty Leah Klee, a level 56 depraved, stood absolutely no chance against him. Her spirit was shattered in an instant by this overwhelming force. Yeming shattered the earth beneath him, lunging instantly in her direction. Realizing this, Leah Klee, her face distorted with pure terror, was flying at breakneck speed back toward the spatial portal. This is terrifying. That black wolf is an absolute monster. Even though that gray figure is gone, I'm still scared to death. At that moment, Leah Klee had only one thought: escape, and report back immediately that a supreme power had emerged among the humans. As for their mission to hunt down human geniuses, it was a complete disaster. With that terrifying black wolf around, any of the corrupted who crossed its path would die. Just then, a deafening crash echoed behind her. Leah Klee jumped, utterly terrified. But Yeming, who was pursuing her, didn't want to stay away from me for too long. Suddenly, his body began to swell, transforming him into a colossal beast over 1,000 meters tall. Covering dozens of kilometers in the blink of an eye, he appeared right behind Leah Klee. A massive, shadow-shrouded paw slammed down on her. The earth split open as shockwaves rippled out for 10,000 meters. Under Yeming's massive paw, black flames completely incinerated Leah Klee. Thanks to Xiao Wei, I already knew the corrupted had entered the Beliant Mountains. After thinking it over, I decided to split up from the others to hunt them down. Now that I have two powerful summons, it'd be a waste for us to stick together. With that, I called over a microdrone and ordered it to guide Yeming. The massive wolf shot forward at lightning speed. a rare flash of eagerness burning in his gray eyes. Watching him go, the officer couldn't help but sigh. To think he's reached such a level in just a few days. If you gave him 1 year, wouldn't he be strong enough to challenge a throne? Just the thought of it is mind-blowing. To date, Huaxia has only ever produced 85 thrones, and that is the total number accumulated over more than 100 years. Every single one of them has fought for over 10 years, the absolute peak of humanity, rising above countless generations of geniuses. If they're so rare, it's mostly because of the foreign races. In the massive meat grinder that is the frontline battlefield, even the greatest genius struggles to make a splash. A single offensive from an enemy race leads to countless sacrifices. Many thrones fall because of it. And today, in Huaxia, only 30 thrones remain. At the exact same time, deep in the mountains, a woman in golden armor was wielding a powerful war halberd shrouded in a bloody aura. She was dominating no less than 4 level 55 corrupted ones. Under that terrifying red aura, the air itself was ripped apart. The corrupted ones couldn't take the impact head-on and kept falling back. Watching this unfold, Ryukuru frowned, slowly forming a black spear in his hand. He had no time to waste here. Plenty of other geniuses were waiting to be taken out. Ryukuru's figure blurred forward, and the black spear, charged with the power of corruption, struck with devastating force. Faced with this sudden attack, Jufei reacted with blinding speed. Her blood and energy erupted throughout her entire body, and the tip of her halberd expanded in an instant. A violent aura surged instantly, and Jufei's eyes filled with a fierce, battle-hungry glow. Shrouded in a blood-red light, her weapon swept through everything in its path. Everything was shattered. Ryukuru stared at his now broken black spear. His face darkened. Such power. And she's only level 55. She has to be eliminated. Instantly, Ryukuru unleashed his power of corruption. A torrent of black energy surged out, spreading across a 100-meter radius. The light dimmed in an instant. The other corrupted ones also began unleashing their power of corruption. Jifei's body was enveloped in a brilliant aura. Her life energy wrapped around her to fend off the corrosion, and her gaze grew as cold as a king's. You're courting death. Her figure charged instantly at Ryukuru. Cleaving through the air with a deafening crash, she swung her halberd. Targeting her directly, the 4 corrupted ones rushed to attack Jifei, but Jifei completely ignored them, her aura reaching a fever pitch of fury. She wouldn't stop until Ryukuru was dead. Under the effects of the corrosion, her super armor state wouldn't last much longer. She would then risk being truly assimilated. On the other side of the battlefield, King Kong's gaze fell upon this scene, and his expression grew anxious. He pushed his power to its absolute limit. He furiously attacked the level 56 corrupted one in front of him, wanting to go help Master Ji. Master Ji had ended up surrounded by the corrupted ones while trying to save them. But the corrupted one saw right through his intentions and gave a cold sneer, locking him in a fierce battle. At that moment, Ryukuru drank a vial of ash blood, and his aura skyrocketed. Reaching the 6th ring, his strength now equaled that of a throne level. The power of true blood is absolutely terrifying. Ryukuru grinned widely. He materialized a black spear in one hand and threw it. Its terrifying tip shot forward in an instant. Immediately after, the sound of shattering armor echoed. The black spear had pierced straight through her flesh, emerging from Jifei's back. Blood dripped from the tip of the spear onto the ground. Seeing this, Ryukuru burst out laughing. He walked over slowly. Become my slave. Just then, a silver war spear sliced through the air, piercing the black aura and landing right at Ryukuru's feet. A figure clad in silver armor appeared in the distance. Ryukuru frowned slightly. So, my sister failed to kill you. Looks like she's dead. Ryukuru showed no emotion whatsoever. He wasn't the least bit saddened by his sister's death. I took one look at the situation and realized right away that this was way out of my league. So, with a simple thought, a humanoid creature less than half a meter tall, with a pair of golden wings, appeared. A sacred aura instantly spread through the air, and the expressions of the 6 corrupted ones changed completely. They all stared at her. It's an angel, but immediately after, their eyes burned with intense desire. It's a young angel, it has no way to attack. Corrupting an angel. For the true clan of the corrupted, that is the highest honor. Thinking of this, Ryukuru fell into a frenzy. Shen Lin, I really should thank you for this wonderful gift. Feeling those disgusting gazes locked onto her, Diana frowned. Those tendrils of black energy felt familiar to her. They were the ones who invaded her homeland. Rage flared in Diana's eyes. She spread her wings and soared into the sky like a brilliant blazing sun. On the left, a golden-haired figure revealed a terrifying aura. A blazing golden light exploded from her body. A massive golden sun, at least 1,000 meters in diameter and radiating brilliant splendor, appeared in the sky behind her. At that moment, Diana's tiny body transformed into a tall, slender adult form. Her golden eyes revealed an aura of majesty, both imposing and sacred. The blazing golden light illuminated the entire area, and in just a few seconds, the flows of dark energy were completely purified. All the fallen ones felt as though they had been cast into hell, their bodies racked with unbearable pain and agony. Their dark power was instantly suppressed, filling their hearts with absolute terror. Since the dawn of time, the fallen clan and the angels were mortal enemies whose powers neutralized each other. But under this massive sun, the balance was clearly shattered. It was a soul purification of unparalleled power. They felt the weight of their sins as the verdict came down, cold and implacable. The massive sun floating behind Diana suddenly exploded, its golden light growing even more intense. Its glow painted everything within 10,000 meters in gold, as if a second sun had appeared between heaven and earth. The terrifying power of the massive sun made the surroundings tremble. The bodies of the 6 fallen ones suddenly burst into blazing golden flames, a torture that burned their very souls. In an instant, they began to scream in agony. Ryakuru's face twisted in pain. His previous gloating had vanished, leaving behind nothing but agony and a desperate struggle. He unleashed his dark power with everything he had. The strength of the 6th ring, doubled by his amplification talent, formed a black barrier around his body as he desperately tried to ward off the golden flames. However, unlike Hemming's black flames, this attack, which acted directly on the soul, could pierce through anything. It was impossible to block physically. Only spiritual defenses could withstand its erosion. The black aura began to fade away. A weakened Jafei raised her head and looked up at the figure standing in the sky, a vision of beauty and majesty so overwhelming that it was impossible to look directly at her. She began to laugh. "You can even summon an angel. You're seriously amazing, Goo Goo." A divine power, blending with a golden light, washed over the land. Everyone's wounds instantly began to heal. King Kong, whose body was covered in bloody gashes, felt a gentle warmth wash over him. The stinging pain in his wounds vanished immediately. With nothing left to fear, he threw himself into an all-out attack, completely abandoning his defense, ready to trade his life for the enemies. As the great sun blazed in the sky, the tide of the battle completely turned in an instant. Ryakuru, despite being so knowledgeable, felt utterly betrayed by his own intellect. Damn it, weren't young angels supposed to only have support skills? A single second of locking eyes with Diana, meeting her majestic, golden gaze, was enough to make his entire body tremble. His eyes stung so badly they felt like they were bleeding. It was just like facing the Grand Jiushin of his own clan. He realized he couldn't wait any longer or his soul would be burnt to ashes. He immediately shrieked, You are that human!" With a sudden burst of dark aura, he lunged straight at Diana, desperate to tear her down. But Diana remained completely unbothered. She slowly raised her hand, and countless blazing blades materialized around her. The blades shot forward, raining down on the birds. Imbued with the power of purification and scorching heat, the golden blades instantly skewered Ryakuru's body, slamming him to the ground from a height of 100 meters. In that moment, standing high in the heavens, Diana looked like a goddess ruling over the great sun itself. The bird beasts gritted their teeth as the golden swords impaled them. They weren't just physically wounded, the fallen power within them was actively being purified, causing their very souls to burn even faster. "Curse this great Sunday. We don't stand a chance." Ryakuru's face darkened. "But don't panic. Empress Fooling said someone would be joining us for the hunt." Just as he finished speaking, several figures wearing gray cloaks appeared. They rushed over from the distance, each one of them boasting the power of the 6th rank. Seeing the shadow crest on their gray cloaks, Jifei exploded with rage. Glaring fiercely, he roared at them to stop, but those damn heretics completely ignored him. They leaped forward in an instant, and their target was clearly me. The mighty Diana raised her hand, and golden flames immediately erupted, scorching their souls as icy swords materialized. The swords flew at them, but the heretics chose to tank the damage head-on. In her great sun form, Diana lacked a truly devastating, single-target finishing move. Suddenly, the great sun behind her back began to fade, and then a golden glow started shining on her right. A full moon joined it, a lonely, freezing moon hanging high in the sky. An area spanning tens of thousands of meters plunged into darkness, bathed only in the moon's pale, cold glow. Carrying an aura of chilling dread, it made all the heretics turn pale. Looking up, they realized that, unlike her great sun form, Diana's eyes were now completely clear, devoid of any emotion. Her sacred aura had also vanished, leaving behind only a terrifying presence of death. Her golden wings and hair had turned a brilliant silver white. Standing in front of the moon, she looked like a proud and enigmatic goddess. 9 circular blades appeared, spinning slowly, imbued with a dark red power of annihilation. At the sound of Diana's icy voice, 6 of those blades sliced through the air in an instant. They flew at extreme speed, reaching the 6 heretics in a fraction of a second. Terrified, their faces froze as they desperately tried to activate their defensive skills. But against an annihilating power capable of shattering any defense, their barriers were as fragile as glass. Every single one of them was sliced in half. At that moment, freed from the crushing pressure of the great sun, Ryakuru shot straight up toward Diana. A torrent of terrifying dark energy erupted, shaping into a black spear over 10 meters long, which he hurled with massive force. The black spear sliced through the air at supersonic speed toward Diana, but one of her circular blades immediately flew out to meet it. It completely pulverized the black spear, while two other blades instantly darted toward Ryakru. Seeing this, the few demons remaining on the ground rushed straight at me, their eyes filled with pure, murderous intent. This human must die. He only has a combat power of level 28. Even if that angel who controls both the sun and the moon is an absolute monster, dominating opponents at level 50 or even 60, if we let him reach his full potential, the consequences will be unimaginable. But Diana quickly raised her hand and recalled 3 of her annihilation blades, sending them spinning to slice through the demons. The 3 annihilation blades suddenly collided and fused together. They instantly took the shape of 3 intertwined rings, multiplying the destructive power coursing through them tenfold. A flash of dark red light streaked across, and in an instant, all the demons were shredded to pieces. Casting a cold glance at Ryakru, who was desperately struggling to defend himself, Diana slowly raised her hand, and 6 of her circular blades began to fuse. Seeing this, Ryakru's expression warped with dread. He activated the royal blood of his inner throne along with the last of his fallen strength. Fending off the 3 blades, Ryakru glared at me with pure, toxic envy. Why would such a flawless angel choose to fight to the death for a mere human? But a sneer soon crept onto Ryakru's face as he pulled out an ink-black roulette wheel. As he spun it, a bright light lit up under his feet, stretching out for over 100 meters. This opportunity to summon a sovereign was originally meant to deal with that space-type prodigy, bypass any powerful guardian protecting him. But my 2 summons had both shown a potential far too terrifying. They couldn't afford to let me keep growing. Right then, countless intricate, mystical runes began to intertwine, forming a massive, pitch-black summoning circle. A gray abomination, over 10 meters tall, slowly emerged, and a terrifying aura instantly flooded the area. The air became so thick, it was almost impossible to breathe. Diana's expression grew serious. With a wave of her hand, her moon wheel transformed back into a great sun hanging high in the sky. However, even its brilliant golden light couldn't pierce the suffocating darkness. I immediately sensed things were going south and wanted to turn tail and run, but I held back. Because the moment that massive black circle appeared, Yang Xiao walked up and patted my shoulder. He said, "I've been waiting for this enemy sovereign for a long time. Don't worry." Hearing those words, I immediately realized that this was a trap planned long ago. And sure enough, the enemy sovereign didn't pay me any mind at all. Instead, he turned an expressionless gaze toward the Jiangcheng base. Over there, as the massive summoning circle materialized, an aura of extreme power erupted, shattering the clouds in the sky. He arrived with terrifying power, reaching the area in just a few breaths. Staring at the young man standing in the void, the sovereign of the opposing clan spoke slowly. "Zanju, you are stationed on the front lines. By rushing over here, aren't you worried that the defense line you guard will be breached by the Wuzus?" Zanju waved his hand dismissively and said, "It doesn't matter. Either way, we humans have decided to give up on it." The opposing sovereign immediately understood that he had walked right into a trap. But he didn't care. Zanju glanced down and shouted, "What are you guys waiting for? Get out of here. Do you want to get killed by the shockwaves?" At those words, Yang Xiao immediately led everyone away. A battle between sovereigns. The shockwaves alone could obliterate an area of several 100,000 meters. Even if Zanju's domain could block some of the power, our presence here would only be a hindrance. Seeing this, the opposing sovereign didn't stop them. With Zanju there, he couldn't touch anyone. Since he had been a fairly active sovereign on the front lines over the past 2 years, his strength was well known to almost all the powerhouses of the opposing clan. As we departed, a gray domain suddenly expanded, and even with the protective barrier, the shockwaves from the battle between the 2 sovereigns made the earth tremble for hundreds of thousands of meters. The others prepared to continue wiping out the remaining abominations, but Yang Xiao asked us to stay. "Shen Lin, just send your summon, that will be enough." I thought about it for a moment and decided it was a good idea. Yingdi hadn't made any progress in a long time. She would probably struggle even against a 4th circle abomination, so I let Diana handle the abominations on her own. Yang Xiao looked over and said, "Shen Lin, I really didn't expect this. To think your 3rd summon would be an angel. An angel's combat power is no less terrifying than that of that black wolf. If you manage to reach the rank of sovereign one day, it will be like handing the human race 2 fighters with the power of a sovereign." Thinking of this, Yang Xiao continued, "The opposing group thought they had uncovered all our secrets through a traitor. In reality, those were just decoys we deliberately threw at them. It was to let them build up that confidence of being in complete control, so we could spring a massive trap on them later." He highly valued me, to the point of revealing almost every detail of the operation. I had no questions and explained, "Now, I see the whole chessboard." Since the information couldn't be hidden, humanity just went with the flow to set a trap for them. First, wipe out all the corrupted elites who invaded our rear, to finally lure out an alien throne, bringing them to our rear to eliminate them. The price to pay is that some of our own people would be the targets in this plan. They, specifically, wouldn't even know they're just bait, but that's how wars between civilizations go. Just then, Amy and Diana returned after killing the corrupted. Diana changed back to her normal form and flew to my side. Her tiny hand tightly gripped mine. She looked just like my own daughter. After more than 10 hours of fierce fighting, the gray zone in the distance finally dissipated. A young man, walking on the void, instantly crossed tens of thousands of meters to reach us. Seeing his extremely weak aura, Yang Xiao immediately stepped forward and asked, "Brother Zan, how did it go?" "Ridiculous. A mere alien throne. I can handle him with a flick of my wrist. How could there possibly be an issue?" Zanju said, gritting his teeth. But beside him, Diana silently cast a holy light. She could clearly feel that the young man in front of her was suffering from severe erosion by the power of corruption. Zanju immediately frowned. "Little girl, do you really think you can heal a throne's wounds? Wait, you're an angel? Don't stop. Hold on for a few more seconds." Diana shook her head. "My holy power is depleted. A throne's corruption is far too terrifying. Even if holy power can counter it, I can only purify a tiny fraction of it." Hearing these words, Zanju suppressed his discomfort and sighed. "In the end, I have far too heavy a burden to bear." My gaze turned puzzled. "Are all thrones in this state?" Yang Xiao quickly changed the subject. "Brother Zan, let me introduce someone. This is Shen Lin. He's the primary target the aliens want to take down." Zanju instantly turned his gaze to me. "So you're the guy who, at the same level, would be able to smash my head into the ground?" I looked completely lost. But then he turned to Amy, who was crouching to the side, his eyes shining brightly. "What a majestic wolf. Let me ride him." Saying this, he prepared to pounce on him. But Amy instantly dodged, clearly very reluctant. Zhangju's face stiffened. "What is the meaning of this? You dare look down on a throne? If I don't manage to do this today, I'll write my name backward." Just as he was about to force his way, he was stopped by Yang Xiao. "Brother Zan, don't do that. He is a crucial pillar for the future of Huaxia. We cannot afford to drive a wedge between us." Zhangju slowly looked at Yang Xiao. He turned around, hands behind his back, looking both defeated and proud. "I've accomplished so many great deeds for humanity, yet I can't even ride a wolf. I'm leaving." With that, he slowly flew back toward the base. Yang Xiao and I quickly followed him. Arriving at Yang Xiao's private office, Zanju sat right down in the seat of honor, without any ceremony, as if he were in his own home. Yang Xiao asked, "Brother Zan, what is the situation on the front lines? Has it gotten worse again?" For the past few years, Zanju had stayed in the rear while suppressing the worsening curse. While preparing for my 10th evolution, I must cooperate with the front lines to understand the situation and find my place. I'm afraid they might launch a new offensive to wear down our vital forces. Chen Sheng told me they did this at regular intervals. Each time, at least tens of thousands of warriors are sacrificed. Even sovereigns can fall. They rely on their sheer numbers. It's a strategy of attrition, life for life. But for the human race, it's the exact opposite. Every warrior who falls is a loss, especially those geniuses with hidden classes. They are destined to become 9th-rank powerhouses. Just as I finished thinking about this, Zhang threw a storage bag at me, packed with life crystals and various resources. "Your summons have terrifying potential. Naturally, we won't let you down. And the resources we owe you are far more than this," Yang Xiao added with a smile. Those words touched me. I could clearly feel how much he valued me. If I had chosen to develop my strength in secret and only reveal it later, I might have surprised everyone. But I would have most likely been wiped out by an enemy ruler first. Revealing my talent now comes with risks, but humanity won't just stand by. Not only did they use their trump cards to assign rulers to protect me, but the resources they gave me are also incredibly generous. In total, they gave me 500 level 5 and level 6 life crystals. There was also a body tempering manual worth 1,000 contribution points. They gave it to me without hesitation. If humanity values me this much, it isn't just because of how strong my summons are. My real trump card is my talent, which grants them such terrifying strength. After chatting with Yang Xiao for a bit, I took my leave, headed back into the mountains, and summoned Yeming. I gave him all the life crystals from the storage bag. Instantly, Yeming's aura exploded. Dark flames slowly devoured the crystals. Soon after, his evolution value increased by 1,766 points. He had reached 1/3 of the total required. Next step, thanks to Chaoji's directions on where the mutant beasts were, I decided to head deeper into the mountains to keep hunting. Over the next few days, all the mutant beasts level 50 and above in the Balian Mountains were completely wiped out. 16 behemoths of level 60 and above, along with 100 level 50 mutant beasts, were all devoured by Yeming. His size increased by 15 meters, and all his attributes improved by 30 points. Back at headquarters, everyone was genuinely thrilled. Without their leader, those behemoths aren't much of a threat anymore. All that's left is to clear out the rest, little by little. For the years to come, the Balian mountain range will be a safe zone. Yang Xiao nodded with a smile, but deep down, he knew this was far from over. Around the mountains near the Wushan base, not a single mutant beast could be seen, and that was not good news. It meant that all the mutant beasts had answered the call of the behemoths and were starting to gather. The trainees barely dared to venture into the mountains anymore, remaining holed up inside the base. Over several days, they had killed fewer than 50 mutant beasts. If this keeps up, those behemoths will attack soon. Now that the pressure on the Yanchang base has decreased significantly, let's gather some men to go help Wushan base. 1 hour later, as soon as I got back, I was called into Yang Xiao's office. Shen Lin, the behemoths in the Balian Mountains have been eliminated thanks to you. I plan on sending you to Wushan base to help clean things up. I accepted without a second thought. I was actually disappointed that there were no behemoths left to kill here. I was already looking for an excuse to go hunt on other bases' turf. Level 40 mutant beasts weren't nearly enough for Hemming He's growth anymore. Seeing my reaction, Yang Xiao smiled. The others should be ready. Let's not waste time, head out now. I followed Yang Xiao to the base's transport plane where 50 people had already gathered. I saw Jifei and several other familiar faces. They walked over, looking thrilled. Shen Lin, I knew you'd come as backup. I heard the situation at Wushan base is critical. He didn't hesitate for a single second to come help. Jifei gave a mischievous smile. She walked over to Diana, who was holding my hand. What an adorable little angel. You're probably still growing, right? Shen Lin, I really hope you aren't doing any weird things to her. Diana looked up at me with curiosity. Master, what are weird things? And why can't Master do weird things to Diana? In an instant, a crowd of eyes glared at me. Some looked envious, others threatening. My mouth twitched. Not knowing how to respond, I quickly boarded the transport plane with everyone else. Destination, Wushan base. Once we arrived, the atmosphere inside was heavy. All the soldiers were on high alert, and the heavy weaponry was fully activated. Many cadets were whispering among themselves. Do we really have to stay here? All the mutant beasts have gathered, they're definitely going to attack. The military already gave us permission to leave. Besides, we can never wipe them all out. There's no point in staying. Some people have already left. It's inevitable. Thousands and thousands of mutant beasts are sweeping in. Who could possibly stop them? My teammates kept sighing, looking for excuses to justify their imminent escape. Wang Feng clenched his fists and said in a deep voice, My family is in Yanchang. Even if the mutant beasts run wild, and even if staying here means death, I won't leave. There are tens of millions of people in Yanchang. Even with non-stop evacuations over the past few days, most people are still in the city. If we can't stop the mutant beasts, it won't just be one city that suffers. Just then, a greenish transport plane broke through the clouds and slowly landed near the Wushan base airport. The commander of the Wushan base, Gao Yu, and a group of officers were already waiting there. Seeing Yang Xiao approach with the cadets, he rushed over, looking incredibly excited. General Yang, we've been waiting for you with bated breath. Obviously, he knew the status of Yang Xiao, this powerful 9th-rank warrior. Yang Xiao replied, Forget it, old Gao. My curse still hasn't been lifted. Don't count on me to turn the tide. Gao Yu's bright face instantly clouded with worry. The situation is critical. Countless mutant beasts are converging on 4 areas, led by a colossal creature that is about to surpass level 70. It plans to attack on multiple fronts simultaneously to overwhelm us. He sighed before asking, Still, I thought the number of mutant beasts at the Yanchang base was huge. How did you guys have so little pressure on your side? Yang Xiao smiled. Every single level 50 and above mutant beast in the Balian mountain range has been exterminated. He's the one who did all of it, he said, gesturing toward me. Gao Yu immediately pushed Yang Xiao aside and rushed toward me, ecstatic. Student Shen Lin, at last, you're the one I've been waiting for. By the way, it turns out my grandson, Gao Yang, is your roommate. Student Shen Lin, come with me. What General Yang entrusted to you is over this way. Let me show you. With that, he grabbed my hand and pulled me toward the logistics department. A few soldiers brought out a black crate that was several meters long. Gao Yu said with a smile, continuing, All of this is for you. The warehouse over there is completely empty, so you can go in and inspect everything in peace. I nodded in thanks, then headed into the warehouse and cracked open the crate. It was packed with rare metallic materials and life crystals. I summoned the silver disc and immediately start fusing the materials. Before long, the battle armor reaches a weight of 163 tons. With just a light tap of my foot, the steel floor beneath me warps. After fusing all the materials, the silver disc gained a level of sharpness enhancement. Combined with the previous 2, that makes a total of 10 levels. Now, taking down an enemy below level 50 in a single blow is no trouble at all. On top of that, it can now change its size at will. I nod in satisfaction, eager to head into the mountains and test my skills on some mutant beasts. This time, I fuse more than 100 rare metals. The silver disc combat power has increased tenfold. I rush over to an open area at the Wushan base. More than 100 people are standing there. Right away, I spot a familiar figure. It's Lin Suxu. Under her long, ice-colored hair, her face is delicate and pale. Her figure is slender and elegant. "Comrade Zhou," I say, stepping forward to greet him. He responds with a smile. Gao Yu steps forward and says in a serious tone, "Those mutant beasts gathered yesterday, under the command of a level 69 dark tricore mutant beast. They are advancing from 4 different directions. This scattered offensive makes it impossible for us to focus our counterattack. Each front is led by at least 2 mutant beast lieutenants, targeting the Wushan base, Wuxi, and Yangqi respectively. Your mission is to intercept them. Kill the straggling mutant beasts to thin their numbers. That will ease the pressure on our defensive lines. For this operation, you will be split into 8 groups, with 20 people in each group. Any questions? No." Everyone answers in unison. Gao Yu immediately starts calling out names to form the teams. Yang Xiao steps forward and adds, "Shen Lin, you'll be operating alone. He knows my strength. Anyone else would just drag me down." I have no objections, but the people around me are completely baffled. Even mentors need a team. What makes him so special? 2 minutes later, the 8 groups are formed. I summon Yeming, who stands over 100 meters tall, and charge toward the mountain range. In the mountains, the giant black wolf sprints at full speed. Behind me, Diana has her arms wrapped around my neck. Her tiny body floats in the raging wind. As a newly born, innocent angel, she is curious about everything and refuses to stay in the dark, silent summoning space. Of course, I'm not going to force her. Meanwhile, in the dusty mountain range, countless massive mutant beasts are crushing rock and earth underfoot, knocking down giant trees and forming a wave of destruction hundreds of kilometers long. They march forward relentlessly. At the head of this tide, 3 terrifying, 1-kilometer-tall mutant beasts march with their heads held high, their bodies cloaked in a fierce, menacing aura with an invisible power that seems to warp the space around them. Under the footsteps of countless mutant beasts, the earth trembles violently for over 100,000 meters. Inside the command center, the scale of the scene is terrifying. The many officers watching the scene via drones look grim. Suddenly, a deafening roar rings out. A tyrannical, 1-kilometer-long figure surrounded by black flames, a black wolf, suddenly bursts from the flank at lightning speed. The air tears apart with a thunderous boom. Everything within dozens of kilometers is completely wiped out by this terrifying force. The savage beast's roar echoes through the heavens. The sound waves ripple outward, stunning all the mutant beasts. They all grind to a halt. Gao Yu is completely dumbfounded. Is this how he fights? Our mission was supposed to be intercepting the mutant beasts at the rear. How could he just charge straight in? There are 3 behemoths there. One of them stands over 800 meters tall, with 2 curved tusks that are 100 meters long. Covered in crimson scales, the demonic elephant behemoth slowly spoke up. "What kind of creature are you? Why are you standing in our way?" Yeming ignored its words and erupted. Ink-black flames spread across 10,000 meters. An aura of death slowly spread throughout his domain, devouring everything along with the flames. It drained the life of the trapped level 40 mutant beasts. A ferocious shadow nearly 3,000 meters tall condensed around him. His cold gray eyes, filled with a terrifying aura of death, locked onto the monsters. The 3 behemoths were instantly struck with terror. Dread flooded their minds, making them feel as if they would be obliterated by that single gaze. The refined sky-hell matrix. Within this domain, no living thing can escape its judgment. Even undead and lifeless creatures are forced to face the very concept of death. Up in the sky, Diana wasted no time casting her divine blessing. The divine seal on her forehead flashed with a golden glow, massively boosting his power. In his current state, Yeming is just too terrifying. Even by pouring all of her divine power into him, she can only slightly increase Heming's attributes. But with this support, the Hell Matrix instantly expanded by another 20,000 meters, and the strength of the black flames doubled. Within mere seconds, their power became absolutely terrifying. Hundreds of level 40 mutant beasts were reduced to ashes. Even their life crystals were consumed by the flames. "You're asking for death? Kill him." The 3 behemoths roared in pure rage. Right at that moment, the sky suddenly went dark. A pale moonlight spread out, carrying a terrifying omen that made all the mutant beasts shiver with fear. Diana stood majestically high in the sky. With a cold and haughty look on her face, she stared down at the enemy. A full moon hung behind her. 9 circular blades of annihilation, cloaked in a crimson aura, spun around her. They sliced through the air, heading straight for the ghost rock behemoth. The beast roared, gathering its strength. Strange runes appeared on its hardened skin, but the circular blades sliced through them effortlessly. Leaving a wound dozens of meters deep, the excruciating pain forced the ghost rock behemoth to halt its advance. It slammed its palm down on the blades, but they agilely dodged. Controlled by Diana's mind, the blade surged back up its arm, carving a 100-meter-long scar. Seeing that Diana was keeping the ghost rock behemoth busy, Heming, refusing to be outdone, instantly charged at the other two colossal beasts. Any mutant beasts in his path were completely pulverized. The massive Telephant let out a furious roar, lashing out with his crimson-scaled trunk. He violently whipped the black wolf in front of him, but without needing a single command, the wolf's demonic claws, cloaked in black flames, slashed down on him. They tore through the elephant's scales, leaving 4 deep wounds exposing the bone. To the side, the massive Scolopendra opened its blood-curdling mandibles. It launched a surprise attack to bite him, but Heming reacted with lightning speed. With one swipe of his paw, he sent it flying, then aimed for its head and sank his fangs in. The dark red shell shattered instantly. His fangs dug deep into the flesh, and toxic purple blood sprayed everywhere. The massive Scolopendra shrieked in agonizing pain. It coiled its body around Heming, trying to impale him with its countless sharp legs, but they were stopped cold by an impenetrable layer of golden light. Heming then clamped his jaws around it and flung the massive Scolopendra away, completely obliterating an entire mountain peak as it crashed. It was buried under an avalanche of rocks, but his opponent's colossal body followed close behind. Crushing a boulder under his paw, he violently slammed the giant Scolopendra's skull into the ground. Pinning it down, he furiously tore into it with his fangs. Meanwhile, in the sky, all the flying mutant beasts swarmed toward Diana. Her face remained expressionless as she maneuvered the Omni-Annihilation blade, which came spinning back to her. The 4 circular blades charged straight into the suffocating swarm of flying beasts. They crisscrossed and spun through the air, slicing through the mutant beasts one by one. Right then, the giant colossus suddenly charged at Heming, making him its top priority. Heming let out an infernal roar. Completely fearless, with his paws still crushing the Scolopendra colossus's skull, he instantly threw himself into the fray with the giant colossus. 4 massive beasts clashed in a brutal battle, shaking the earth and ripping cracks across tens of thousands of meters. The tremors rippled all the way to the horizon, filling the air with explosions and terrifying roars. Countless mutant beasts fled in sheer panic, terrified of being caught in the shockwaves. Complete silence fell over the command center. All you stood there, jaw dropped. What the hell? How can this wolf be so incredibly ferocious? He's only level 20. Yet, he's holding his own against 3 colossi. That's a 46-level gap. Several officers swallowed hard, their eyes glued to the screen in disbelief. The mountain range had turned into a dark, fire-ravaged purgatory. The 4 colossi fought with devastating rage, the clash of their battle shaking heaven and earth. That demonic, sinister silhouette, standing over 1,000 meters tall, radiated a terrifyingly tyrannical aura capable of swallowing millions of lives. Its aura was almost suffocating. Up in the sky, Diana was wrapping up her own battle. The hundreds of flying mutant beasts had all been wiped out by her, their mutilated corpses piling up on the ground. Instantly, the Omni-Annihilation blade began to spin around her, its dark red glow growing brighter and brighter. A terrifying power surged, so intense that even the air itself seemed to disintegrate. The 9 circular blades fused together, forming a single, dark red blade 100 meters long. It hovered before Diana, its terrifying aura making all the mutant beasts tremble in fear. Her aura surged as the dark red Omni-Annihilation power swirled around the blade. Behind her, the silver moon gradually stained into a deep crimson. Heaven and earth were bathed in a crimson glow for tens of thousands of meters, as if they had plunged straight into hell. At that moment, the most powerful form of the full moon, the core destruction form, revealed itself. Diana's cold, merciless voice slowly echoed, "Prepare to die." Instantly, the dark red glow of the Omni-Annihilation blade reached its peak. It transformed into a terrifying red shadow, tearing through the sky and crashing down onto the Scolopendra colossus. Upon impact, the Omni-Annihilation blade didn't slow down for even a fraction of a second. It sliced clean through the 1,000-meter-long body of the Scolopendra colossus. In just a matter of seconds, the Scolopendra colossus was reduced to a bloody pulp. A single strike was all it took to kill a level 65 beast. Such terrifying power. Even I couldn't help but be surprised. But the defense penetration effect of Diana's core destruction form is just too terrifying. It's at the point where it practically ignores all resistance, and on top of that, she has an even more terrifying sun-moon form. However, the deep red moon had paled slightly. This technique had clearly drained a massive amount of Diana's energy, but she still had some left. With sheer willpower alone, she directed the Omni-Annihilation blade, instantly striking the giant colossus nearby. Terror exploded in the giant colossus's mind. It immediately grew a thicker, harder stone shell, but that was nowhere near enough to stop the Omni-Annihilation blade, which sliced its body in half in an instant. Right away, the deep red moon in the sky could no longer sustain itself and quickly faded. But then, Diana's slender, perfect body suddenly transformed into that of a child. Her once distant and arrogant face now showed a hint of innocence. She blinked, fluttering her wings frantically, she flew off to find her master. On his end, Yeming quickly wrapped things up. With the demonic elephant beast defeated, Yeming stood tall in the middle of an ocean of black flames. The dark flames devoured the carcasses of the fallen giant beasts. Commander Au was left completely stunned. To him, this was simply unbelievable. Originally, the mission was only to eliminate some of them, but in the end, he took care of everything. He wiped out and dispersed every single mutant beast. Single-handedly, he cleared the entire area, a horde of several thousand, if not tens of thousands, of mutant beasts. His efficiency surpassed everyone else's combined, and by several times at that. With this, the danger on the path of the Verwishi offensive has been cleared. Aoyu's face lit up with excitement, his worried expression completely vanishing. At first, our defenses might not have even held out against a single wave, but now, there is hope. In the darkness of the mountains, the flames quickly devoured all the corpses and life crystals before returning to Yeming's body. Thanks to the converted energy, he grew by 1 meter, and his physical attributes increased by 2 points. In return, all of my attributes also increased by 1 point. The energy converted from the giant beasts doesn't amount to much for Yeming anymore, but for me, it's a completely different story. Even by only getting a third, the boost is massive. Now, my stats can easily rival those of a level 30 hidden class character. If you add Hindi's terrifying bonus to that, I can easily pulverize a level 40 mutant beast. As for a level 50 beast, it would take me a good 10 hits. Facing some of the weaker colossal beasts head-on is no longer a problem for me. And my next goal is the major offensive on Uchi.